Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Nerd Rage Gaming Thursday Night Locals and a part of our league series. My name is Dan Hugar. I am here with Brian DeVeza. And Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Dan. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good. We got some V coming up for me. I got to
Yes.
get prepped because I need to go play Pokemon and attempt to be competent at it.
Yes.
So
And Milwaukee's creeping up really quickly. A
it,
lot quicker than I thought it would be.
it is. Side note, anyone
Yes.
watching, are additional spots for registration for Milwaukee opening up at 7. So we'll let you guys know when that's coming up
So
too.
20 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So Brian, we are here at our league series. We're going into week 3 of it. Leaderboard's starting to get a little settled,
Yeah,
but we've
definitely.
now got 45, 50 total players who have some points of some capacity. That's a lot.
Yeah, and we're really surprised. The turnout is really starting to really ramp up too. So there's a lot of people coming out to play.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting for us because, we want to build this great community here. And it seems that the league series is kind of contributing to that.
Agreed. So we have 36 players here tonight, which is awesome. And all of them are competing to get their spot on the leaderboard to qualify for Invitational in June, which, to be honest, we're going to have a trophy, some cool stuff. It's just a nice excuse to have something to play for.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think people just want something to play for. Not everyone's able to make it out to the big regional events,
Yeah.
ICs, and it's good that we can put out some kind of event like that for our local players.
100%. And so, on top of the whole league series, we also have Pokemon today, the actual
Yes.
games. And we just had Atlanta Regionals, which means we know Dragapult is good,
Yes.
but there are a couple other cool things that have come out of it.
Yes, I was right. Gardevoir.
You were absolutely right. Gardevoir was a good move if you're
Gardevoir.
Henry Chow.
Yes, Gardevoir is good. And honestly, I've been playing the deck the last couple days. It's pretty sick, man.
Well, so in the other deck we want to show today is Rafal playing Joltic versus Toby playing a very interesting Gholdengo Cerulege list. So Rafal playing this Joltic box, choosing to go second because you want to attack with Joltic.
Yes.
And Joltic is a weird card, bro. But let's start with Toby. Brian, talk us through this Gholdengo Cerulege deck. What the
Yeah.
heck is this?
So this list was cool. I was watching Little Dark Fury, a popular content creator not too long ago, and this is actually what he decided to play to Atlanta. And it's cool because the Cerulege, it acts as a kind of a way to get around Cornerstone, just because you play the 12 energy, you kind of get those in the discard, you play the extra fire energy to attack, and it helps you kind of get around the Cornerstone because it has no ability.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it kind of helps to ramp up some damage as well.
And
Yeah.
it's a good alternate attacker.
Yes.
So going over to Rafal's turn, we actually listen,
Yes.
we are all here for Reno.
Yes.
Big fan. So going to Rafal's turn, Rafal, like we said, playing this Joltic box, which really it's built around the attack of Joltic, which is a little baby 30 HP Pokemon, has an attack for 1 colorless energy. Search your deck for 2 lightning and 2 grass energy, slap them onto your bench Pokemon however you want. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid attack. It's cool because you're able to power stuff like Pikachu and Iron Hands with it, which is honestly so crazy to think about. And this Miraidon engine is just loading up this bench right away. So it's
And
crazy to think about what this thing's doing already.
absolutely, and double Pikachu coming down. Rafal choosing not to go with the Iron Hands EX. I think not being sure exactly what Toby is playing based on that start, but I mean, Pikachu's a pretty good attacker in general.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially with how easy it is to power up the Pikachu. It's pretty easy to just get this thing going every single turn, even though you're discarding your energy every time you attack.
Well, when you get to slap down 4 energy for a single attack, like, what a huge burst of acceleration.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, look how developed the Raf's board looks already. Like it's so crazy to see.
This is absolutely insane. And now on Toby's end, we are going to see Toby get to play a supporter. We see Arvin. I gotta imagine this is Buddy Poffin and something else,
Yeah,
right?
maybe like a TM Evo or like a rescue board or something like that. Um, this deck is definitely very Arvin dependent. You definitely want to have Arvin on as soon as you're able to play a supporter, just because it's able to really swing your turn because you're able to get stuff like the Energy Search Pro or like the Buddy Poffin in this instance. So, very important supporter to have.
Agreed. And unfortunately, Arvin really was a core engine for a lot of decks in the format, but Toby's starting Pokemon there, Budu, is real big issue for decks reliant on that Arvin engine.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we got to see that during the Atlanta Regional as a lot of decks and a lot of the really good deck builders in the Pokemon TCG have definitely adapted to it by changing their supporter count to include more draw supporters and stuff like that. So we really got to see a lot of that skill be displayed during the past weekend.
Agreed. And so, speaking of that, Toby going to get those two gimme ghouls down. Obviously, big core of this engine. We do have the Badoo in the active. And so, for Toby's end, what this Badoo is hopefully going to do is buy him a little bit of time. And to be honest, I think Rafal's got to be thinking, why didn't I put down a hands?
Yeah, I think he's starting to regret that a little bit here, just because in this instance, Ralph would have been able to just start really, really like attacking. But I think it's not too bad for him just because he's able to set up another attacker now, and that Miraidon EX is still a very solid attacker. It's able to take out stuff like that Pheasantipity and other support Pokemon as well.
Absolutely. And if things get a little crazy, you can't always two-shot a Gholdengo for 3 prizes.
Yes, itchy pollen
Pezzy,
count.
well, you know what? Yes.
That's actually a solid idea. I kind of like that.
Because you asked early, we absolutely can. And
Yeah.
I will start that lovely tracker.
All right, we're only at 1 right now.
Honestly, we're probably going to be at 2 after this turn because
Yeah.
that research is brutal for Toby.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if we missed a couple pollens, so
Uh,
we'll try our best.
Yes. We'll keep track. I have my phone here. So going with Toby's turn here, we see the research. We got to have something to set up. Do we want to find a Gholdengo? Do we have anything in that hand?
Yeah. I don't think I see much here. Ooh, the league headquarters is pretty solid.
So that's interesting, but it also requires a manual attachment now to Itchy Pollen. So Pezzy, that Itchy Pollen down may go down real quick here.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think like Toby's really like in a rush to kind of get his board going. I think he's okay with just, putting down the league headquarters and kind of just like shutting down Roth's hand from there.
And that makes sense. Rafal does have a Miraidon loaded to be able to attack, but aside from that, there's not a lot of pressure he's going to apply. He could take 2 prizes with a Gust, but that's it. And I don't think he wants to use Miraidon to knock out this Badoo.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think one thing to kind of note as well is that the Hoot Hoot engine's being used. So I'm assuming that Roth is probably playing stuff like Area Zero, and that could also give him another opportunity to set up Iron Hands as a potential attacker.
So I don't actually think this list plays Area Zero, does it?
Does it? Oh, I figured you might.
I would
But,
assume so.
Yeah.
I think you can usually keep a pretty condensed board because
Yeah.
all you really need is Joltic, your 2 main attackers, and then your Hoot Hoots Noctowls, and if you want to throw down a Fez or a Mew or something like that. So I don't know if it really takes advantage of it to the same degree.
Yeah.
Chicken
Chicken count in the
chicken
room.
count. We have at least 1. Do we know if there are any more?
I don't know, but if there is, I'll make sure to let you know.
For those who are like, what the heck are you talking about, chickens? Adam is asking if we have any Blaziken EX decks in the room, and we know we have at least 1, so we'll probably get that on
Yeah,
later.
definitely.
All right, so going back to Toby's turn, we do see the coin bonus. We see Toby needing that energy in order to attack with Badoo, debating using the Night Stretcher to get the
Yeah.
energy.
Definitely starting to realize it now, and I think he's going to end up going through with it.
And Rafal being a class act and
Yes.
saying like, yep, you got it. So we are now at 2 on the Itchy Pollen count.
Yes.
Going to Rafal's turn, we have Super Rod, Charm, Energy, Nest Ball, Hands.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot,
Yeah,
man.
not a lot either. I think from Roth's side here, he's looking to see if he can just keep powering up his attackers just so he can have endless attackers here.
Do you think there's a world where you attack with Joltic, or are we just going to see a pass over?
Probably just the pass here. Yeah, I think that's what Roth's looking to do here, and I think he's going to see if he can try to attack the next turn.
And so would
Yeah.
the idea be that Roth is setting up to go after Pheasantipity or something?
Yeah, hopefully. I think that's like the good way to kind of start is to go for that Fez first, or even try to see if he can blow up the Gholdengo on the bench as well. Granted that that's going to be the attacker.
Makes sense. And we
Yeah.
do see the Metal Energy come down for Toby. In hand, we see Ultra Ball, Boss's Orders, and
Ooh.
I don't think much else.
Oh.
I love this decision, Brian.
Yes,
What do you think?
I do too, just because, Pikachu is such a powerful attacker, and just being able to get some damage on it right away makes it super helpful, so you can actually, knock it out in one blow the next turn.
And that's really, like you said, Pikachu's big advantage is it survives. Like,
Yes.
it can tank hits. It can force your opponent to two-shot it while it one-shots everything. So this is a this is actually a big deal for Rafal that
Yeah,
Toby's kind of taking away that tanking ability.
definitely. And Dan, I hope to see Genesect tonight on stream as well.
Dan, we very
Yeah.
well may. So, for those asking, again, wondering at home, what the heck are we talking about? There is a Genesect that has an ability that if a tool card is attached, your opponent cannot play an ace spec from their hand. So, it made some noise in the Atlanta regionals, and we'll talk about that list later
Yeah,
too.
definitely. Yeah.
All right, so getting back to Toby's turn, we do see a very slow turn from Rafal, just retreating back into Joltik. And now Toby's got a choice. What do I do here? Because I just bought myself a ton of time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much more time for Toby to kind of set up his board now. He can try to see if he can get more Gholdengos and all of that. And the bundle's still in play as well. That could also be a way to kind of get around, putting a two-prizer in play as well. So that could be another condition that Toby can use.
And we do have Arven in hand. So Toby has an opportunity to go get something like the Energy Search Pro or the like. And if we do pop that bundle, Toby also has a chance to go take a knockout on a Hoot Hoot or something like that, worst case.
Yeah, definitely. So either way, if the bundle is popped here, there's going to be some sort of, like prize that's worth something that Toby can take, or some sort of play that's worth something.
So, and that's something interesting about this electric deck is it is so very willing to use Joltik because it typically doesn't bench any other single prizers. Now, Rafal obviously benching the Hoot Hoot to get knocked out, but I mean, to be blunt, he could force Toby into a 7 prize game if he's able to either clear this Noctowl out or just not have it be as big of a threat. And
Yeah.
so we see the mental energy come down from Crispin, Psychic go to hand. Is there anything else Rafal wants to do this turn?
I think he's just gonna pass it on again and kind of just wait for Toby to, bite and take those first two prizes, or
So,
try to take the first prize in general.
and
Yeah.
so this is something we've actually seen in Atlanta, especially in some of the Top Cut matches, but in general, the game appears to have slowed down a ton.
Yes. Yeah, it's slowed down a bunch, and it's like a complete 180 to what we've really had in the game in the past, like, ever since I started playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely seemed to be a lot more different now. And ooh, the Char Cadet's coming down.
Yeah, we do see the
Yeah.
Char Cadet come down, which means Cerule Edge could attack shortly. However, the board really isn't set up to take advantage of it yet.
Yeah.
But we do see a couple lightning energies, so Toby's in a position where as soon as Rafal does move in to try to knock something out, he can respond really well.
Yeah, definitely.
But so, Brian, what do you think is Toby's best move here?
I think it's gonna be really just the Badu Wars. I think the Badu is really gonna be the way out of it. Just because he doesn't want to, force up the Dengo right away to where he's gonna get it, where it's gonna get traded out for two prizes the next turn. But just being able to kind of just slightly like get the board set up, get it going, and then the moment that Rafal bites and starts to put up a two prizer, that's when he can start to make that prize trade a little bit better.
And that absolutely makes sense. I think getting the other Gholdengo out here is good. The only question I have is I'm wondering why Toby has not played that Arven yet.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that Arvin could um, get him like his real big power play of getting the um, eSearch Pro and kind of just having all this energy to work with.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of my thought is Toby could prepare to be able to reach and take a big knockout. Pezzy,
Yes.
50 minutes is a very short period of time for a best of 3. And Brian, we can talk about that later, but with the
Yes.
format slowing down, you got to know when to scoop.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big part of it, and just knowing like to how to keep your opponent accountable for their pace of play, and then keeping yourself accountable for pace of play as well
Yes.
are very important things to being able to survive best of 3.
All right, so we are now 3 Itchy Pollens away from a knockout on this little Joltik here, and we are
Yes.
actually at 6 Itchy Pollens now,
Yep.
which, Brian, I was not expecting that number in this first game.
I know, right? That's like definitely like a number that we would have expected maybe out of the first like round between both players,
Right.
not just one.
Exactly. But so, and that's part of why the game has slowed down so much is
Yeah.
now decks are built around waiting until they can enact their game plan
Yes.
rather than just aggress.
Yeah, and it's definitely opening up a lot of opportunity for a lot of these slower decks to be able to, thrive. That's why Dragapult's been doing so well lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop Shock, welcome. Glad to have you here. We now see Itchy Pollen number 7. And I mean, is Rafal just kind of draw passing until he can take a 2-prize
Yeah,
knockout?
I think that's really the plan here. He's gonna hopefully be able to. I mean, he's gonna be item locked and hopefully just draw to like Gus or something like that.
Because that's really what he's going to want to go for is,
Yeah,
can I take a 2-prize turn? Which, I mean, to be blunt, if Rafal had benched a Iron Hand,
yeah. This game could probably be over by now.
agreed, 100%
Yeah,
agreed. All right, so we are now at 8 itchy pollen counts for
yeah.
round 1. Oh, we see the retreat. Go into
Ooh,
the
into the
Pika.
Pika. Wow.
Interesting. And just
Yeah,
passing back over to Toby.
yeah. And I think he's gonna try to see if he can get Toby to bite now and force up this Gholdengo.
Which, I mean, is not a bad move. However, Toby did already get rid of one card that could be really valuable in Briar.
Yeah, definitely. The Briar is definitely a big win condition, because Sarah Briar can definitely win you games.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So why do you think Rafal's willing to sacrifice this Pika?
I think he just wants the game to progress a little bit. I think he just wants to be able to um, start trading out the two prizers and hopefully let this Pikachu on the bench be that swing Pokemon that allows him to take a lead.
And I mean that
Yeah.
makes sense. Now parlay
Parlays
22
22. What's
Listen,
I don't know what the over under is to to make the
Bryce, do you
baseline
want to
for
make a
it.
poll on an over under for
Yeah.
Itchy Pollens? And Bryce, I'll let you pick whatever the number is for over under.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right, so we do see Toby decide to go in with Gholdengo, likely to take the knockout on this Pikachu, only needing 4 energy to do so. And like you said, Brian, the game's going now.
Yeah, so now this kind of opens up the rest of the game here for Raf. Now he's going to be looking to, use the Pika to kind of take a knockout here. Now he'll be able to get the Noctowl as well, and the Noctowl will be able to kind of get his next attacker going as well. Maybe he will try to see if he can get us like the Pika back to power that up again. But yeah, I think he's going to be looking to really ramp up his pace here and try to take the lead back.
So the advantage Rafal has now too is with that Crispin and Super Rod in hand, Rafal will be able to Crispin to that healthy Pika and go back-to-back knockouts with that Pika, ideally tanking a hit each time.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if Rafal's able to do that, Rafal's going to be able to go 1, 2, 3 on knockouts before Toby can take his 4 remaining prizes. But he's going to have to pull off the play.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we see the Arven from Rafal for prime catcher and experience share. Are we taking down that Pheasantipity?
I think he's looking to. Yeah, and I think he's going to put it. I'm thinking he's going to try to find another Pikachu here, or maybe the Iron Hands, so he can start putting energy on that as the next attacker. And part of me doesn't know how I feel about it, though, because, I mean, Toby has a big hand.
Yeah.
And I think Toby can trade out that Miraidon pretty easily, unless he's looking to knock that out with Pikachu, which I don't think is the most ideal play.
And I would agree. And I think
Yeah.
that's the risk here is if Rafal does give up 2 prizes here, now you force only 1 Gust out of Toby rather than forcing 2 if you go in with Pika. And so
Yeah.
to answer in the chat, Alex, I am so sorry your
Yeah.
class got canceled that late. Awesome to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming through to at least to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jolly, for the Joltic deck being real, Sagemon Park did get top 32 with it recently. I think it's a real deck, but I don't think it was really discovered in time for it to be optimized for Atlanta.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like it's got potential, but once a meta sort of, develops a little bit more, then it could be a possibly good play from there. And it also kind of depended on like what would be good. Like if Terrabox ended up being like BDIF, I don't think this deck really would have
No.
hung would be able to hang with it as much. But with Dragapult being a super good deck, this deck could kind of run over it. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, we're missing kind of a big opportunity here, Brian. So Toby, on his turn, is actually discarding a jamming tower, which is a huge deal because
the jamming tower could have gotten him an extra prize.
and that's
here.
exactly it, is jamming tower and then knockout Hoot Hoot would put him down to 2 prizes. So
Yeah.
there was an opportunity to shorten the game for Toby, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
just not seeing it.
Maybe not seeing it. Yeah.
And going back to the chat, so Jolly, it is sort of Terrabox with hands. There's a little more to it. The acceleration is very different, and it does not run generators. It is wholly reliant on Joltic and Backseat Andy. that is good advice to Alex of asserting dominance in class.
Yes.
Great for getting to go to locals, not great for keeping a good GPA.
Yes.
So,
or your career.
yes, or your career, just to keep in mind there. All right, so we do see the knockout by Toby on the Miraidon. We see the Hoot Hoot come up, Pikachu available.
Yeah, I'm thinking like you gotta probably just hopefully disrupt, find a way to disrupt here.
Well, so, and I guess that's my question is why did we not see the experience share attachment to the Pika?
Yeah,
Or are we just going to see a Crispin here?
could be. Yeah, now that you think about it, I feel like Crispin into Pika and attaching over, to power it up over 2 turns, not the worst thing in the world. Just because this Pika does, the Pika on the bench, the one all the way on the right, does buy Roth a turn as long as it doesn't get gusted around.
Yes. And Alex, yes, this deck is very good into evolving decks.
Yeah, especially with how slow the meta is. Like the Joltic is just very easy to power up, and it's got such crazy utility as well. So
It
yeah.
does. And we see Rafal digging out an Iono. We cannot nest ball for Iono, just to be clear.
Yes. There we go.
Can nest ball for Pheasantipity to try to draw into the Iono. Oh, and then we have Ultra Ball.
Yeah, so the Ultra Ball will get us those pieces to get first the Noctowl here.
And so now
Yeah.
Rafal going into that Miraidon first actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because he is trying to intentionally put Toby to a low hand size
Yeah.
to lock him out of the game rather than just trying to win by going aggressive.
Yeah.
What do you think about that approach?
Yeah, I think, it shows that Roth is really thinking like ahead in the game. And it shows, not just trying to like go with what is good now, but go with, the play that can win me the game in the long term. And I really like the way that he's kind of thinning out everything. So the cards that he doesn't want just go straight to the bottom of the deck.
And I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh,
yes,
Wisconsin.
Pezzy, thank you very much. Everyone who is listening, there are sign up for Milwaukee right now.
Yes.
Actually, Brian, I'm going to go jump out and let everyone know that they
Yeah,
can take
go
a pause
ahead.
if need
Yeah,
be.
go ahead.
So if you want to keep talking through this
Yeah,
game.
absolutely. So looking at Roth's this turn still here, drops the Fez here and is looking to probably play Iono. And think they're just trying to figure out the sign up here. Yes, Roth does have to attach an extra energy here just because of the league headquarters. And putting down Toby down to 2 prizes left, or 2 cards left in the hand. And let's see here, he's got an energy. I didn't get to see what that other card is. And I think Roth is just looking to just retreat here and then go with the Pika. Oh, goes with the Fez first. Ooh, looks like he's got some Gust for the next turn. And it's helpful too because he discards 3, so as long as he's able to get Crispin and a bump to the to this Pokemon League headquarters, then he'll be able to attack again. I think he's trying to figure out which energy to kind of get rid of here before going for the actual knockout itself. And there it is.
We did have a couple players that were very hyped about having an opportunity for Milwaukee, so
Yeah,
this is good.
Good.
All right, and we do see the 2 prize knockout for Rafal. Going down to 2 prizes remaining. Toby also has 2 prizes remaining. Murray,
Yeah, Murray,
it is awesome to have you here.
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
And so Toby's hand is what you would call not great.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 2 Gholdengos, so he's able to kind of draw some cards here now, but no easy way to kind of just take this knockout here.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so we do see an Arven and a Superior.
Ooh,
I mean,
pretty solid, but there's no Gust. That's what I mean, there is some Gust, but
we do have.
If Roth plays it well, he just puts up the Noctowl.
Well, I would actually say he puts up the Joltic. Because
okay, yeah.
going up into the Joltic would, well, no. Because then Itchy Pollen could knock out the Joltic.
That's
and
what I was
that
thinking.
would be problematic.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that too.
So this is kind of the situation we're in. So if Toby had kept that jamming tower,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity where that jamming tower could have been game winning by forcing up something that he could knock out and then using the tower to knock out the Joltic.
Yeah, definitely. And it just shows Jamming Tower is such a good card in this meta right now, just because tools are just so safe right now. There's nothing like Lost Vacuum that takes tools away. You don't have to play around cards like that anyways. But yeah, I mean, Alex, I think he would put another Pika up anyways, but it's just the pressure that we're kind of talking about here.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
always providing opportunities. You always want to provide opportunities for your opponent to make a mistake, for you to have more chances to think of a different game plan. And Alex, we do have a cup date. May 25th is going to be our cup for the quarter, and we'll have a post about that, talk about that. It is unfortunately the same weekend as Portland, but for Q4, you only have 2 months to have your cups. So
Yeah,
here we are.
Yeah, it's a little tough around that time of year, end of the season, so a little tough in that aspect here. So looking at what Raf is doing here, he's just going to grab
Amber, thank you so much for joining. We are super happy to have you here, and I appreciate you
Oh,
helping out our
thank
numbers
you.
too.
Yes, appreciate it.
And Switch Pollen. Ooh, Pezzy, I almost missed another Itchy Pollen count.
Yes.
And I agree too, because getting that Itchy Pollen on that Pikachu is a huge deal here.
Yeah, it definitely is. Is he looking to attack with Noctowl?
I think we are going to attack with Noctowl here.
Oh man.
How do we feel about this?
Oh man, that's got a hype, man.
I think it's sick.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. The only thing is that because of this, we're losing that energy.
Well, and not only that, we
Yeah.
are opening up Counter Catcher
Yeah.
as an out. And so we do see the thing I didn't think I'd say today, Knocked Owl Knockout
Yes.
on the Budu. We are Knocked Owl Gaming, Alex, absolutely.
Yes.
And we have,
Superior.
and I think a Boss's Orders.
That might be the last card.
I think it is. I think that's going to be game. Toby's going to pull it off with the Boss and 4 energy knockout on that Pika,
Could be.
assuming that that last card is actually a boss.
Yeah. Let's see what the last card is. I
It
think
is definitely a boss.
Yep. I think he's thinking about just making sure he makes the right call here.
Yep, doing the math, doing the
Yeah.
math.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. there you
Pulls
go.
up the Pika 200. That is the knockout, and that is game for Toby.
Yep.
Gholdengo Cyberledge taking down Joltic deck. So for, I forget who above. Oh, Jolly asked if this deck was real. I don't know. And I can't say that was a big selling point for it, but we did have 9 Itchy Pollens in that one round. So, Bryce, what do we set the over-under on? 20. I would bet the over, people. If
Yeah.
you're betting, I would bet the over. And no, I will say the Gholdengo with a partner. So Azul was talking about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Gholdengo with a partner is actually a really, really interesting way to play the deck because it has so much good power in draw and attack to it. But since it's so linear, having something else to kind of diversify your game plan is huge.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know. Part of me really likes the way that Bodhi played it. He
Is
made
that the Gholdengo, just pure
Yeah,
Dango?
it was just pure Gholdengo with
Okay.
four Cypher Maniacs.
So the 4 Cypher
Yeah.
Maniac is fascinating. So for those watching, Cypher Maniac says look through your deck, take 2 cards, put them on top of your deck. So using that with coin bonus means you basically have to search your deck for 2 cards and put them into your hand. I assume we have a bunch of Badu
Yeah.
luxurious capes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just net decking the Drixty, as people
Yes,
are saying. The
because
Drixty and playing that tonight.
Hedrick is possibly the greatest player in the game right now. So if he
Yeah.
plays a deck, you should listen to it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so then you were talking about Bodhi's Gholdengo deck. So why is that version so good, do you think?
I just think it's hyper consistent. Being able to just reliably have Cypher Maniac's code breaking on your turn 2 is just really important. Just because you want to be able to start knocking out really quickly with Gholdengo, and being able to just have those 2 cards that you always need,
Yes.
just able to be drawn is just really good.
No, I absolutely agree. And like there is something to be said about consistently doing the thing over and over.
Yes.
But like we mentioned, Cornerstone Ogerpon is definitely a thing in the format.
Yeah, definitely.
Dragapult is definitely a thing in the format.
Yeah.
And so, Brian, is it okay if I kick you out for a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna see if I can try to register my friend here.
Oh,
for the event.
perfect. Good luck.
Yeah.
So we are actually bringing in Rafal because we were hoping Joltic deck would give a good showing and show why it's so powerful. and instead it got cooked by Gholdengo's Ceruledge. So I am here to rip Rafal's gameplay to shreds, and I'm glad you're all here with me so this can occur. Rafal, are you excited for this moment?
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes there in hindsight, but also that the League HQ,
That was a big deal.
that was kind of brutal,
It-
actually.
It was. Now, granted, getting rid of the jamming tower, which could have won him the game a turn or two sooner, was also maybe not the best.
Oh, would it have just knocked out the?
Because it would have knocked out the Joltic, and then he
Mm.
could knock out the Hoot Hoot to just call it a game right then and there.
I see. Okay.
Yes. So I have a question. I have a couple questions for you. First,
Yes.
what do you think of the list? Like, what is this deck? Why is it good?
It's good because Iron Hands and Pikachu are some of the strongest attackers in the game. As you saw, I had 2 Pikachu up. I mean, against any deck that isn't playing League HQ, those Pikachu starts blasting. The 4th energy on Miraidon can be on anything else. So like obviously that made things a lot more difficult, but you could see the
could believe
potential. You could see the potential of the deck because putting 2 energy on each of your Pikachu and then being like, what? Because and I mean he played it well with the Budu because like part of the game plan is like, what, you're gonna knock out my 30 HP Joltik and then I get access to Pheasantipity and like and like you're completely off your prize trade and then like you know, my Iono gets stronger because then I can get you down to 1 prize instead of at 2. Like so the idea is you kind of like you have the Joltik there. They either Badoo it, and if they Badoo it, you've just set up an Iron Hand, so you just blast the Iron Hands. Or if it's a deck that like will go into you with like a 2-prizer, like a Raging Bolt or something, you have the Pikachu, you know, and the odds that Raging Bolt gets like turn 2, like what's its face, the Slitherwing Prime Catcher, like unlikely to knock out Pikachu to do that all on its own. And you can just knock out the Slitherwing and then they're kind of stuck, you know. So yeah, in theory the deck sets up basically uses the Joltik to set up like the 2 strongest attackers in the game.
Yes.
And you kind of go from there. And then as you saw, I was playing the Knock Towel because I was like, I don't know, the deck has literally no draw engine. You just kind of like hope you draw into everything. So like,
Fair.
yeah, and yeah, my sequencing, yeah, there was some things near the end. I was like, I put on that XP shard. I was like, well, you technically only discard 3 energy off of Pikachu, so if he knocks out this Pikachu, then I can put one of the metal onto the bench Pikachu. But then I was like, he's already at 2 prizes. That should have been literally anything else, like a Mew, like literally anything but a Pikachu with an XP share. So yeah, there was a lot of decision making that was pretty tough.
Well, and actually, I had a question on, and Nappy, I appreciate the feedback. I will say, and I'm glad you're here for us, Fall. One of the big things I pride the stream on is that we try to give constructive, good, competitive feedback on people's play, decision making, the like. Because I know for me, I always want to watch back the games I play on decisions I made. I don't watch my stream match from Milwaukee. I refuse to because I blew it. It's okay. But in general, we want to be constructive and helpful. And so, Rafal, I have some constructive feedback. Should you
Please.
be open to it?
Yes, I have maybe like under 10 games on this deck on ladder where I'm usually just going put 4 energy on hands. So like any real advice on how to play against real decks it's appreciated.
So you're not going to love this feedback. Why didn't you just put 4 energy on the hands?
After so they told me they were playing, so I knew they were playing Dengo.
Okay.
So I feel like I tunneled on I need to set up Pikachus for Dengo. But in hindsight, after they benched literally nothing game 1 and I got a free turn, I probably should have set up hands and Pikachu and not just Pikachu
Well,
in hindsight.
I am glad we had this talk because that
Yeah.
was exactly the conversation we were having
Yeah.
of what is the right attack. Because you're right, into Gholdengo,
Yes.
Pikachu's absolutely the right attacker. Into Gimme Ghouls, Hands is absolutely the right attacker.
Yeah, and the awkward thing is like the deck, you either set up most of 2 Pikachus or a hands. And if you want to
Yes.
do a bit of both, you can. You can do 2 on Pikachu, 2 on hands, but then you like really need Crispin the next turn. And if you don't get it, like your hands isn't doing anything, your Pikachu might not be enough.
The other thing I wanted to add though with that is, yes, Nappy thinning is definitely good and it is winning typically. But the one thing I was going to say is you have an advantage in that deck too, where you don't especially have to go in and amp you very much. It is okay to take a turn off and Joltik
Yes.
twice to set up your 2-2-2 game plan from there.
Yeah, I think especially like looking back in hindsight, the fact that they were using Badoo and the game was going slow, like I think part of me was just like this deck is fun. I want to mess around on stream a little bit. I'm gonna have 2 Pikachus blasting, but that meant that like I had 2 Miraidon on the bench, which was like kind of a waste of resources, right? Like that Ultra Ball maybe could have been like a Mew to draw cards because I was just like kind of dead drawing the rest of the game. So like, yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that I played that particularly well. I heard I was against that it's Gholdengo. I was like, I'm gonna do crazy things to Gholdengo, and then like everything kind of went a little south from there. Like once League HQ came down, I was like, oh god, this is insane. I mean, I think I played well considering the League HQ,
So you did. I
but
think you did make, in general, very good decisions overall. The big one was just choosing not to go with hands. I
Yeah.
think really tanked the game for you.
yeah, I totally agree. Especially considering the Badu was like kind of the MVP, just shutting me down
Yes.
for like 10 turns. Like it would have been cool to just like take 2 prizes on it, like way earlier, for sure.
100%. So, Spoon Squad, heat proof, yes. I should also mention, for those from Dan Lore, Rafal, do you know the reference here?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. So, for those watching at home, I was in the Global Players Cup 1 finals, and Pokemon chose to stream my game against Matthew Burris, where literally all he did was evolve into a Bronzong that walled every fire Pokemon, and I only played fire Pokemon. And I don't know why Pokemon decided that was the stream game to show, but they did. And surprisingly enough, I took 1 prize, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, for any newer players, imagine you're playing Gholdengo without the Dunsparce, without the little Gholdengo, and your opponent just goes like, I'm going to bench a corner pawn, and then you just kind of lose the game on stream in front of like thousands of people.
Correct. And also, I really need to stress, this is the first time anyone has heard of me. This is the first time I'm on stream, I have any press whatsoever, and it is me getting absolutely cooked. Just obliterated.
It was tough. It was tough.
It was. But anyway, so Rafal, I do want to ask too, because you mentioned Hands is the strongest, one of the strongest attackers. Pika's the other strongest attacker. Is this a deck where it has a good place in the meta to sell out for those 2 main attackers?
I think it's got an interesting place in the meta. I think it's worth trying some more, as we saw. Like, for those who don't know, the reason that like this is a deck is thanks to Sajin Park, who's the 2014 or 2015 VGC World Champion,
Yes.
who also happens to be a very good TCG player, who kind of like innovated Miraidon 2 years ago, kind of like helped come up with like the Path Judge version of it with hands and generators, and then has been like kind of trying to make it work ever since in various ways in Korea. So he and a friend recently got top 16 or top 32 at a big Korean event. So I'm just trying like a couple cards off. I was like, the deck has no draw. You get like, if you get like Ionered early, you might just kind of lose. So like I added in like a 1/1 Noctowl because I was like, you usually have Pikachu out. So like an Ultra Ball can become a boss. So I was like, that's kind of the thought process there. As you saw, it was kind of cool. It kind of worked, you know. Again, like it was, you know, Noctowl I think is cool. But I don't know if it's actually that good. But yeah, I think the deck has an interesting place in the meta. You saw me and Ryan testing it before locals against Dragapult. I think there's like, a thing I need to learn with the deck is to be more patient. I think in general this meta's slower and decks play slower, and the decks that you get baited into being aggressive against, you need to have a plan for. So like I played to Atlanta, I played Terrabox, and I knew that Dragapult was going to be like stamping me. So like I built my deck around getting stamped, you know.
Yes.
So against like Ryan before locals, like I would set up an Iron Hands, and I would go straight into Iron Handsing. Even though his board was like a Budu and 2 Dreepy, it's like I should set up. Why don't I set up a second Hands? Why don't I set up like a Mew or that can then copy Dragapult's attack later? Like literally anything else. But instead I went like way too aggressive with the hands. The deck wasn't thin enough, and like he was able to like really like brick me some certain turns. So like,
But I think it's a good point for the format in general, and we were talking about that on there, and then I'll let Brian get back in here so you can get back and get to your round. But I think that's one big thing in the format right now with Budu being so powerful. It is intentionally slowing things down.
Yeah.
And so to your point, if it is going to be slow, am I making decisions to best function when things are slowing down, or am I getting too ahead of myself and putting myself in a rough position?
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. There's like a balance between like being like a super turbo deck, like being a turbo deck in that like, you know, I'm gonna knock out your one Budu turn 1 is actually like pretty bad right now, right? Like last format you had Moon, you had Raging Bolt, you had you know, all these different turbo decks. Like that is not good right now. Like if I'm playing a deck with Fan Rotom and I'm like, I'm gonna Fan Rotom your Budu turn 1, like, and you get stamped, it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Right? That's why like the Terapagos Buffalon deck, which like has good matchups into certain things in the meta, has such a rough Dragapult matchup because you don't have a way to take 2 prizes early on. So you have to knock out a Budu, and like getting stamped after taking one prize is like so punishing.
Yes.
Versus something like a Terra Box, which can like knock out something on the bench, versus like a Hands, which just like takes 2 prizes and like really puts that pressure on. Versus like a Trapagos, which like you take 1 prize, you get stamped, you take another prize, but now your hand's like dead, and now they're finally evolved, and you've only taken 2 prizes, you know. Versus like a Hands, where like by the time they start attacking, at least you've taken 4 prizes, you
Right,
know. That's kind of the
exactly.
difference.
No, and Rafal, thank you for coming on, talk about it a bit. Really appreciate it. Good luck. We'll probably have you jump in at the end too, just to see how it went through the rest of the
Yep,
day, and we
sure.
can check in on it.
Yeah, hopefully the deck. Hopefully no more League HQs.
Yes.
See, I saw like because Sajin got this list from a Japanese article, and I looked up this Japanese article, and they literally were like. About referring to stadiums, they were like, "Well, the only stadium that's actually bad for you is League HQ, and no one plays that." so we didn't include a stadium in the list, and I'm like, "Yeah, sounds about right." And then obviously round 1, I hit a League HQ on stream, so that was brutal.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Rafal. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Good luck in your next round.
Thank you.
And for those in the chat, yes, Jolly, the time rules are difficult. Knowing when to scoop is really important, and hitting the tie bracket is problematic.
Yes, it is.
Very. And so,
Yeah.
Brian, you are a Gardevoir enjoyer.
I am a Gardevoir enjoyer.
And that is not known to be the speediest deck that people play. So,
yes.
does that have a place in the format?
Yes, because it's not as it's actually more speedy now.
Bryce, can you throw up the winning list? Actually, no, that's a lie. Can you throw up the second list? Yes, this one. So, Speedy, the reason I threw this one up is because the A spec for this deck, I think, is a really fascinating one in the Brilliant Blender. So for those
Yeah.
watching, this is, I think, Orlando Karam's list from Top 8 Atlanta. And I mean, this is not a slow deck. This is a burn it to the ground deck.
Yeah, and this is the way that people were initially thinking we were going to be playing Gardevoir going into this format. Because this is the way they were playing it in Japan. Heavy research count. Lower Arvin count now. Really high usage of Night Stretcher. And your main like attackers being, the Clefairy, the Mew, the Drifloon, and the Screamtail.
Yes.
At the end of last format, it was a lot of just like using Gardevoir EX. Miracle Force is like your main attacker, and using the Monkey Dory to kind of clean up. But now it's like, oh yeah, you could just use Clefairy and Mew to like blow up everything now. So Drifloon has the capabilities of that as well. 3 Bravery Charm definitely helps to do that, as you can recycle the Drifloon and the Screamtails kind of like over and over again.
Well, Bravery
Yeah.
Charm is also huge on the Clefairy because it takes
Yeah.
it out of range of Phantom Dive. And
And Dusknoir too.
yes, and I
Yeah.
want to mention the Clefairy because it's a huge deal. So Clefairy's ability makes dragons have psychic weakness. So I know you mentioned Gardevoir not being the main attacker, but if you can one-shot a Pult with a clean 310 HP attacker, dude, that's terrifying.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the more terrifying part too is being able to use Mew EX genome hacking to copy Phantom Dive.
Yes.
Yeah,
So do 400 damage to the active and take a bench knockout?
Yeah.
That is very scary.
Yes, and your Monkey Dory is able to kind of manipulate that as well. So there's definitely a lot of really cool things you can kind of do with this deck.
And so
Yes.
you are playing Milwaukee, correct?
I am playing Milwaukee.
All right. Is this the play for Milwaukee? Or are we a
Um,
little too far away?
I feel like we need to kind of make a decision soon. I was gonna
That's
think,
fair.
yeah, it's like I'm kind of like, if the team wants to like collectively play something, I'll play that. But if we can't really come to a, like a decision, I'm definitely down to play Gardevoir.
Well, I think the
Yeah.
team. So obviously are on the Nerd Rage team here. And Mellow Magikarp actually made a post about this. Kevin Clemente on Twitter, X, whatever,
Yeah.
earlier today about are you prepping deck lists in teams, because we saw Gardevoir, Henry Chow's list played
Yeah.
by a ton of players. We
yeah.
saw Hedrick's list played
Yeah,
by a ton. We
The
saw
Drixie.
yes, we saw a bunch of the other top lists played by a group of players. And so it's something we've been talking about for Milwaukee is
Yeah.
just playing the same 60.
Yeah, and just like collectively seeing like if we can create, a list and, about the lines and like really collaborating to like make
Yeah.
something. And there's definitely a lot of merit to it. And it's definitely helped the last few events, I feel like, with our team.
It has. And I think even just having the sounding board, having good players to talk to and figure stuff like this out is great, because as you kind of see here with this list, this is not a clear, obvious list. Like some of these counts are a little interesting. The blender itself is interesting. Multiple Bravery Charm is unique. And the Gardevoir line used to rely on Refinement Curlius, so it was pretty easy, play 4.
Yeah.
But now, 3 monkeys is a lot of monkeys.
Yeah.
Only 2 single prize attackers is surprisingly a little low based on what you're doing with the list. So it is really important to figure out and optimize these lists as best you can going into a major event.
Yeah, definitely. So, do we have the other list, the other Gardevoir list?
I think we are getting our game set up
Okay.
shortly too. But yes, we can throw
Yeah.
up that other list.
This is a little bit more what I would have played.
Ah,
I like
okay,
it.
okay.
I've
So tell
been-
me about that. Why this over the other one?
Oh man, this list is sick, man. I've been trying to play it the last couple days, and it just feels real nice. The
So-
Zoroark is so cool.
For those watching at home, this is Henry Chow's winning list. I believe Michael Davidson, Henry Chow, and a couple of those other
Isaiah
players
Bradner
played it.
was the one the big brain behind this deck.
And that was exactly what I was going to say. Isaiah
Yes.
Bradner is the one who built the list. And yeah, Brian, this list is a little crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I mean, 1-2 Zoroark line, the Morty's Conviction is cool, and it's kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, where it's like a lot of the really good deck builders showed off their skills over the weekend by, instead of going with Arvin lists, they're trying to go for stuff that draw them more cards. So, 4 Iono it seemed to be like a must in every top list over the weekend. The Morty's Conviction was also a way to kind of take advantage of people who were playing Area Zero and to be able to draw more cards that way. The double Turo really helped because the Zoroark is so important, but people are trying to gust around it. So being able to kind of get that out of play as well is really important too. Same with that rescue board, and then the secret box is like something that Henry Chow really likes as well. So this list is sick, man. I've been really liking it a lot. It plays super smooth, and it's one of the reasons why Gardevoir was such a like a force to be reckoned with over the weekend.
So, and I think you mentioned a good piece there about the 4 Iono being essential. And for those watching, you can see we have, what is it, 8, 9? We have 9 supporters that find you cards, and we only have 7 ball search cards. So
Yeah.
you can see that transition coming from the current or previous, like, item heavy, couple supporters, you try to burn through your deck approach, to now it's you're going to be playing a non-trivial portion of the game only with supporters.
Yeah.
So how can you build your deck to account for that?
Yeah, and a lot of this was just being built around Budu. People were
Yes.
like, well, if you go, first and you don't get anything you need and your opponent responds with Budu, then all of a sudden you have no way to kind of search out Pokemon besides
Yeah.
like Artisan and whatever you draw off of your draw supporter. But being able to play like this Iono, heavy research count, the Morty, it really can get you back into games, especially after stuff like Unfair Stamp and late game Iono.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, and so we are getting. Wait, are we starting?
Yes, looking.
We are starting. We're getting into our next game. We have Michael Davidson playing Dragapult versus Justin Templar playing Null. And Bryce, what is Justin actually playing?
I think we're working on that.
Wait, say that again?
He just blanked on it. We're working on that.
All right. I
right.
believe we're also playing Dragapult because we do have. Well, actually, we have a Dark
There's
Energy.
a Dark Energy.
Oh, we're playing Gholdengo. So we see
Gholdengo.
Gholdengo versus Dragapult. Michael, like you said, Brian, with that Budu, and Michael's hand is trash outside of that.
Yeah.
So what are we going to see Justin do here?
I think Justin's looking for a Cypher here.
So why Cypher over Iono?
That's a good question. And the thing that I'm kind of wondering here too is, playing the Cypher initially instead of.
Well, I will
Oh.
tell you why I think Cypher's better is because
Yeah.
Michael's hand is clearly ass.
Yeah.
And so rather than provide an opportunity for Michael to get a new hand, start to do things, just Cypher, go into a
Yeah.
Gimmighoul, bench the
Gimmighoul.
Gimmighoul, and start to set up from there.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that then. And then it looks like we're just gonna probably pass here and then get that second Gimme Ghoul.
And there we see
Yeah.
the Buddy Poffin off the top for Michael. So that's the downside for Justin's turn, is Justin hasn't done much, and now Michael gets to set up.
Yeah, definitely. And Justin, fresh off of a big win in Atlanta.
Yeah, so
Really,
Atlanta Regional
huge.
Champion in seniors. Pretty
Yes.
cool. And so, Brian, with Michael looking through his deck, trying to find these pieces, you and I were just talking about how Budu's kind of changed how decks like are built and set up to respond. But Michael's deck is reliant on Budu to buy that time. So why is this an effective strategy for Dragapult?
What was the question? Sorry.
So we
Yeah.
were talking about Budu and how it's effective at slowing down opponents' decks, but
Yeah.
why is it such an important piece of Dragapult strategy?
Oh, just because Dragapult's a really big comeback deck. The idea is that you fall behind playing the deck anyways, so Badu kind of buys you a few turns, so you're not falling way too far behind.
And that
Yeah.
makes complete sense. And as you can see, Michael is setting up a board. We've got multiple Dreepy down. We have the Duskull, but we don't really have much else yet. And so we've kind of been reliant on Justin giving Michael a turn or two before he can
Yeah.
play the game.
Definitely. And looks like we're hopefully going to get an energy here.
Well, we get the Energy Search
Yeah,
Pro.
but we can't use that yet. And I think what Justin was kind of hoping for is like if he's able to kind of get an energy from there, he can use the bundle to kind of force something else up and take the one prize that way.
Yes, but unfortunately, we do have 2 energy. We do not have any metal energy. So there's no way for Justin to attack yet,
Yeah.
which is hilarious, honestly.
Yes, for real.
And so is this a turn where you play that Iono?
I would say, yeah, I think you can definitely try to high roll it and try to play the Iono and see if you can draw into like an energy or something like that. Oh, but Michael ends up playing it anyways.
And actually, I love that because now Michael has an opportunity to continue to set up his board, and he can be a little less concerned about whether or not Justin takes a knockout here because
Yeah.
we're hopefully going to be able to get a couple Dracloak, get some more basics down, and go from there. And
Yeah, and I see Justin's playing the Dragapult line as well.
we are, because
Yeah.
that is a Dreepy, and that is 2 Dreepy, but also no metal energy.
Yeah, it's still no metal energy, but there's still ways for Justin to draw cards here with that coin bonus. And if he's able to get another Gholdengo, that could possibly also get him some more cards as well.
Yes, but this Budu, oh man, I've missed a couple Itchy Pollens here. So we are at 3 Itchy Pollens so far.
I believe
This game?
so, yes.
Yeah, so we are at 12 Itchy Pollens total. Again, for those who bet the over, good choice.
Yes.
All right, so Michael getting this Dracloak. Brian, what's Michael hoping to see off of this Recon Directive?
I think he'd want another Dracloak here, or even something like a Dusclops. A lot of these Dragapult lists have kind of started to respect Budu by going higher on the Dusclops and lower on the Dusk Noir count.
That makes sense. And we do
Yeah.
actually see a Buddy Poffin, so not a Dracloak, but another out to more Duskull, more Dreepy, or another Budu if need be too.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like this play just because kind of slowing the game down and just being able to set up your board is really huge here.
All right, so we do see the 13th Itchy Pollen of the day. And now Justin with that Cypher and another Gimme Ghoul, Justin's going to be able to play the game a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like he's going to be playing the Cypher here. And oh, did he use the coin bonus already?
He did, and he
Yeah.
actually hit the Cypher off the coin bonus.
Okay. So it looks like he might try to go for another Gholdengo and the Energy Search Pro and hopefully use that in the next 2 turns here.
Well, it looked like we were actually going for Gholdengo, and was that a dark energy or a metal energy?
As the 2 Cypher picks.
Yeah.
I thought it was Gholdengo and E-Search Pro.
It is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was a shiny fire energy,
Yeah.
energy in there that threw me off. All right, so E-Search Pro is great to grab, assuming Michael turns off the Budu lock. But
Yeah.
if he doesn't,
If he doesn't, then there's not really much he can do here. And I guess he is looking to put down the Dreepy here as well.
which makes sense because we
Yeah.
do need to set up an engine.
Yeah.
Oh, and we see a fire energy now.
Another
Oh,
Iono,
Iono,
another
Arvin.
Yeah, so this Budu is putting in a lot of work here.
It
Yeah.
is. And so my question for you, Brian, because this is something I'm trying to learn in advance of Civi, is when do you turn off the Budu lock?
Yeah, it's tough to see. I think it's like you really need to have like a board set up. I feel like you need to have multiple Dracloaks. You need to have at least one attacker kind of set up, and I think you need to have like one energy on a secondary attacker at the bare minimum before you can kind of break that item lock, unless you have the opportunity to really punish your opponent for, not having that many resources available on the board. I think that's the only other time you can kind of break the item lock a little early.
And so that's the thing I'm trying to learn with this deck is exactly that. When do you truly break the lock?
Yeah.
And I think what I've learned so far is either A, like you said, when you have your full setup board, or B, even if you're not fully set up, if you have a chance to absolutely catastrophically destroy their setup.
Yeah.
And so into Gardevoir, I've done that a couple times where they've had only 2 Curlia or Ralts down. I will end the item lock to knock out both of them.
Yeah.
And just say, go ahead, take your 2 to 3 turns to set up another one. I can win the game in that time before you truly set up again. And so then with this Arvin, Brian, what's Michael going to go for?
Looks like he's trying to get the charm here for the Budu. That's definitely going to help force more resources out of Michael. And then this Ultra Ball is looking to maybe grab the Dragapult soon, or another Dracloak.
And another Dracloak makes sense. I think the
Ooh, the stamp.
oh,
I like the stamp here too, because if Justin is able to take out the Budu, he can just respond with stamp right away.
true. And interesting getting the the charm down on the Budu and just going with another Itchy Pollen. We are up to 14 on the day.
Yeah.
And we will be able to coin bonus. We have the Energy Search Pro, but
Yep.
that's it.
That's it. There's not much you can really do. Ooh, the Jerkloak. We're seeing a lot of cards here.
We are. And so now this is the tricky part and kind of the punishing part for Michael, maybe, is that Justin's been able to set up a board now too.
Yeah, he's able to set up a board too, and he's got a lot of cards to work with, but unfortunately a lot of those are items, so it's not much you can really do here.
No, a lot
And
of them suck, honestly.
Yeah, and the moment that Michael kind of breaks the item lock, Justin's able to kind of just break it with a big knockout. And so I think Michael's going to really have to take advantage of that by using the Dust Call line to kind of knock out a big Gholdengo here so he doesn't fall too behind.
And this is one of those times where now the pressure really is on Michael because Justin's board is set up so much that he's going to be able to draw at a minimum 6 cards next turn on top of any supporters or anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And so for Michael, this is now the other question is, do you break the lock and go into your big hit when your disruption will stick? Do you wait until later when the disruption will stick? When is the right time to do this?
I think Michael has another turn or two left that he can kind of set up his board until he really wants to break the lock. Just because I think that when Michael is trying to make this turn happen, he wants to be able to take 2 prizes out of it, but Gholdengo has 260 HP, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to take that big 2 prize knockout. So I think he kind of needs to have that.
And so this is where, honestly, Michael's probably going to want to initiate the attack with Dragapult to hit for 260 to try to set up a sweep. And so now we see the Earthen Vessel and the Halucha.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brian, Earthen Vessel is exactly what he needs, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Earthen Vessel will get you your attacker here.
Oh, and we just Itchy Pollen to go up to 15 on the
15.
day.
Oh,
But now
man.
Justin's drawing a billion cards.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to soon have half of his deck in his hand. And a lot of this is going to end up being that he can probably get an attacker here, hopefully. He can probably break the item lock himself.
Well, so the only issue is he currently has no way to get metal energy out of the deck.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is he needs a metal energy in order to attack. Was that it?
I think he's got one more left.
Yep, one more coin bonus.
Doesn't have it.
We see a water. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
we do have a metal.
There is a medal right at the end there.
But we only have 1 energy in hand. So that bravery charm is putting in some work here for Michael.
Definitely.
So Brian, while we're looking at this, do you like the bravery charm or the luxurious cape better?
I think they both have their own merit. I'm kind of leaning towards the Lux Cape, but I do like both of them. Yeah.
Murray, yes. I think, what was it? I think Dragapult is a great partner for Gholdengo.
Yes.
All right, so then, Brian, let me ask you, do we have the Iono in hand for Michael?
I think we do. Ooh,
'Cause-
Boss is huge too.
Boss could be good, but if we have the Iono, is this the turn to go in and hit with Dragapult?
Ooh, that would be big. Yeah, actually, just because, there is so much in Justin's hand here.
There is.
Yeah.
And so this is when we talk about what is the right time for disruption. Like,
Yeah.
if you play that unfair stamp when your opponent has 4 prizes left and they've got a Fez and a Mew on the board, it's probably not going to stick or do
Yeah.
a lot of value. But an Iono here, when Justin has a quadrillion cards in his hand,
Yeah.
even if he's going to be able to draw a bunch, you're still forcing a ton of good stuff likely to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, definitely. So it has a lot of merit to it, and it also saves the unfair stamp for the next turn as well.
Yes, exactly, because that can still be searched out with an Arvin or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so
So
we
it looks
see
like
the
we're going for
Dragapult.
the attack here.
It looks like, yeah, we see the Iono. And I mean, that feels like the right choice.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to question Michael's decision making here, as he's a phenomenal player. So I feel like he probably knows best about
I
what's most optimal.
I think that's reasonable. So,
Yeah.
Michael, for those who don't know, got top 8 at Worlds this year, is, I gotta think, top 8, top 16 in North America right now.
Yeah. He
Just,
also got second place at Louisville. Was
was
that
it
the one?
second place? It was
Yeah.
second place,
Yeah.
yes. He's just insane player.
Yeah.
And so we will see the Phantom Dive come in, 200 on the active Gholdengo. And then where does the other 60 go?
Probably just on a Gholdengo. Just
I
so
would agree.
you can set up another attack that way. You can set up another 2 prizes. Yeah.
And I think that's exactly the goal, is Michael's going to try to win the game next turn.
Yes. Um.
And to be honest, that's pretty
Yeah.
achievable.
Definitely.
And so the math can work out really well, but we'll see what Justin pulls off first, because now, if Justin does not play a Turo, things could get tough, because also, even with that Iron Bundle being able to clear a bench spot for Monkey Dory, Justin needs to manually attach a Metal Energy to a Gholdengo.
Yeah, and also still needs to get the Esearch Pro as well. Kind of get all those energies that were put back into the deck back in his hand.
Yes, and you can see at the bottom was the Esearch Pro. We see the Monkey Dory. The other thing Justin could do is decide to not try to attack this turn and just use Monkey Dory, but I can't imagine that's right.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, the bench is full already.
So we can
Yeah.
use the Iron Bundle, but then Michael just sends up the
Probably just,
Badu.
yeah, sends the Badu back. Yeah.
All right, and now we see the 2 Recon Directives. So this is something that I think we're going to see a lot, is that the first few turns of games are pretty dull. It's a
Yeah.
lot of item lock, a lot of setup, but then the trading starts, and you got 2 turns to win the game, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what really is showing the skill expression in this deck, and like a lot of the format as well, is that knowing when you should be breaking the item lock and just like seeing how far ahead into the game to where you can make these really big plays.
And so this is one where if Justin had a Mental Energy already down, this is a completely different game.
Yeah.
But because we do need to manually attach, I mean, it's aggressive to say Michael has checkmate, but we almost have checkmate.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lie. We only don't, because we don't have enough rare candies to get the Dust Noir out.
Yeah. That's true. Looks like we're grabbing the Esearch Pro here and trying to get all those energies back.
Which we got plenty to find.
Yes.
So then how does Justin win this game, Brian?
It's tough. I mean, so much item lock so far, and he doesn't even have like the full 7 energy punch yet to where he's able to take the knockout.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. A lot of the times you play Monkey Dory so you can kind of get out of that. So you only need 6 energy. But in this instance, I mean, I feel like a lot of the energy must have been prized. Either that or they're kind of in the discard already.
So we do have at
Yeah.
least 1 fire in the discard. A
Yeah.
Dark Energy is attached to the active Gholdengo, but you're
Yeah.
right, we're missing at least a couple.
Yeah, and you need to take into account as well that you need to attach the other
Yeah, the Metal,
Metal
energy to
Energy.
the active.
Yeah, you need to attach the metal energy in order to attack as well.
So we may not actually have knockout here on this Dragapult, and if
No,
we
I don't.
don't,
We
whoo, buddy.
we might actually. There are other energies that are in hand as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wow.
So we only have access to 6 energy.
Yeah, and one of those needs to be attached. So we're going to go with the bundle here. Send up the Badu.
And Michael's probably fine with this Badu getting knocked out, because
Yeah.
he's still able to use 2. Oh, but we just see the Monkey Dory. And where do we put those damage counters?
Yeah, probably looking to put them on the Duskull, which is huge too, just because now it's going to force Michael to have to use that Duskull and as like the one to evolve.
Yes.
Yeah, looks to pass here.
And so we do have a Jock in hand. We also have an Arvin in hand. But Michael's not going to have a great clean way to gust right now, at least looking at this hand.
Yeah, and I think he's going to see if he can. Oh, instead, actually, is going to play the Jacques right away instead of trying to filter out like potentially a boss.
So why do you
Yeah.
think that is? Why was that the move?
I think Michael knows what he wants to do this turn. I don't think he wants to put it all on chance. And just wants to thin those out right away, evolve those, and then try to thin out and then see what else he can grab potentially.
And that makes sense. I will say I understand the move to go get those first. I think I personally would have liked to see if you could find Gust or something else to enact the game plan here. But I mean, we could even still just Itchy Pollen this turn if we really want to.
Yeah, that's definitely still an option as well. Research and switch here.
Switch very important with the Blood Moon Ursaluna now in this deck.
Yeah, you can definitely like loop the Ursalunas and seeing the boss here now.
And do we have a boss in hand? I don't think so. Maybe we do. Because it looks like we decided to keep the boss in the deck.
Yeah.
All right, so then, Brian, do you hit with Dragapult here?
I think the only other option you can think of here is like if there's counter catcher or something like that, you can pop one of the Dusclops catcher
And I
And
think
then
that's
take-
exactly what's going to happen
and
here.
take 4 prizes that way.
And we do see the counter
Yeah.
catcher on the Gholdengo. Dragapult EX goes into the active. And like you said, Brian, we're going to see a 4-prize swing here from
prize.
Michael.
Yeah, 4 prize turn here.
I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah, definitely. And Justin did his best to kind of move around that kind of play by using the Monkey Dory, but the Monkey Dory didn't really do enough in that instance.
It did
Yeah.
force Michael to give up a prize. However, I don't think Michael really minded clearing that
Yeah.
off his board anyway.
I mean, he ended up with 4 extra, like with 4 prizes instead of just taking 2.
Right.
I mean, he had to give up 1 in order to make the play happen, but now Michael's in just such a commanding position here because if he wants to, like, you could use Gust on one of those Dracloaks there, and then use like a Dusk Noir to end the game, or even
Exactly.
a Dusclops. I mean,
And with the Monkey Dory on the board, all he needs to do is gust one and pop a Duskull on the other one, and he wins the game.
yeah, definitely, and it just shows like how far ahead these players are thinking, like when in their gameplay, because I mean, look at it. It's like this whole time the Buddy was just kind of sitting there, just waiting so Michael could get his whole board set up.
And I will say, it's
Yeah.
a testament to their skills players, but also it's just a necessity now.
Yeah,
There's not enough leeway because Badu slowing things down
yeah, scoops
to
it up.
even give your opponent time, or like, well, I'm saying things horribly, but to give them leeway and mistakes to let them play the game like they did. Because Michael just dominated. We
Yeah.
didn't do damage for so many turns and then won the game essentially in 2 attacks.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, it just shows how good Dragapult is because you're able to just take so many prizes at the same time. There have been so many instances on stream where you see like 6 prize turns happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and Dragapult is an incredibly strong deck, but the problem is if you don't do that, you lose.
Yes.
Because it is not a durable or easily set up enough attacker, where you can stream it over and over.
hmm
You're lucky to get 2 set up. And so if they get knocked out back to back, you don't win the game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Brian, what are your thoughts coming out of that round? Is there anything you saw from Michael's end, Justin's end that you think should have been different?
I think it was just tough for Justin because of the item lock. The item lock really changed it. And I think all the players really played to their outs. I mean, these are regional winning players. They really are. They know what they're doing. They play very clean. And sometimes whoever gets the item lock first kind of takes the commanding lead from there. And Michael was able to do that game. Yeah.
That's a good point. I will say the only thing I saw on Justin's end, and I don't think it was wrong per se, but getting that dark energy trapped on the active actually ended up being a pretty big deal
Yeah.
because it negated his ability to reach for a knockout, which now would that have just won the game there for him? No, but it would have applied a ton of pressure to Michael to have to get a 3rd Dragapult up and going if Justin was able to reach for that knockout.
Yeah, definitely. And that's definitely something to really think about as well. And for a lot of this stuff too, a lot of these players are testing out these decks and these new lists right after the event too. So a lot of them are trying to kind of limit test and see what they can do from there.
Fly, Badu is awesome.
Yes.
And also, I would like everyone knows this is Fly, who played Mew VMAX for forever, saying that slowing down the game is good. And
Yeah.
it's a little mind-blowing for me, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Colin, do you think Mew VMAX would be good in this meta right now?
The answer is no, I don't want it here. I'm going to answer for Fly there.
I don't know. I think if he could play it, he definitely would play it. Oh, I feel
Probably.
like Mew with ace specs would be kind of
That would be
crazy.
terrifying. And yes,
Yeah.
Budu is an Iris. So for those watching and don't really know, Mew VMAX was a VMAX. This is a shock Pokemon through Sword and Shield, where
Yeah.
it relied on exactly what we were talking about before. You played like 3 total supporters, and you just burned your deck to the ground constantly,
Yeah.
constantly, constantly. So it really wouldn't work very well with Budu. I mean,
Definitely.
even Path to the Peak was kind of the answer to shut it down because if you couldn't thin your hand down and draw 6 cards 5 times a turn, you're kind of cooked.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Brian, we've got a little bit of time here. Let me ask you, do we want to talk about leaderboard? Do we want to talk about Dragapult? Where do we want to go?
Yeah, let's talk about the league a little bit, just because we didn't get the opportunity to do
Yeah.
so far. We did talk about a deck going into this round, so
Yes.
kind of like update everybody about how the league's going. Because I mean, this league has been bringing a lot of players into the store, and it's awesome for us to see. We really like seeing a lot of new faces here, a lot of faces that haven't been in the store in a while, and it's cool because I mean, this is giving us a reason to give something back to the locals.
Yeah. And I mean, not to say that we need a reason to play the game per se, but it's a good thing to play for.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going for the World's Invite, Pokemon doesn't give a lot of incentive for stuff to like reach for or play for. So
Yeah.
it's cool to have something like this where
Yeah.
it's not just a tournament, it's over a course of time. You can work and try to earn a spot.
Yeah, definitely. You can kind of track your improvement too, see how you're doing week by week. Because like it's kind of like it's not like one big run you're making. It's like an endurance race.
It is.
Yeah.
Murray, listen, you're going to rack up the
Yeah.
freaking flyer miles, but we'd love to have you out here.
Yeah.
Where would you be flying from anyway, dude?
Yeah.
But so this board, I want to make one note because Dan doesn't know how to read. Martin Paredes, one of our locals, is actually also at 18 points. So he should be up here somewhere. So, Murray, yeah, that's going to be a long
SoCal.
flight for you.
Long flight.
So Brian maybe get knocked off the board if we throw Martin up here, but
I might get knocked off. I was expecting to be knocked off this week, but I'm
very
glad I was
reasonable.
able to make it onto the board for one day.
You were.
Yeah.
Got to do it for the culture,
Yeah.
Murray. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like you said, so just to review the points again, so if you show up basically and play all the rounds, you get 5 points.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. We want attending, playing, trying to be a part of how you earn
And
it.
playing all the rounds too.
Exactly. Staying for the whole day. You get 3 points total per round, so basically 2 extra points if you win, and then you get another point if you're undefeated. So we kind of see it on here. You get a max of 14 points if you go undefeated.
Yeah.
Minimum of 5 if you
Yeah.
just get your butt whooped.
Yeah, I won X1 and I got 11 points out of it. So, I mean, if you have multiple weeks of doing that, you can definitely hang on the board for a while.
Exactly. And so for myself, I went 2-2 and got 9 points, and I am not on the board. So luckily for you and me, Brian, I don't think we need to qualify for it
Yeah, I
because
don't
we're going
think
to be
so,
talking
too.
about it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking the whole time anyways.
Yes. But is there anything else you want to share about the league?
It's been really cool. I mean, we're hoping to do big things for the invitational event over the summer. Just in general, we have a lot of cool events happening over the summer, so we definitely want to keep players engaged in the time between NEIC and Worlds,
Yes.
just so that there's other things for players to do, players to watch, stuff like that, because it's kind of a dry time in our game here. So being able to keep people engaged is our goal.
Agreed. And so we do have a couple things we're going to be planning for July, and we don't have them like officially laid out, but we are going to have a charity event in July with
Yes.
Nerd Rage players and some really scary good players.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 3v3 tournament in July as well, and we're going to try to have those back to back. So we'll come out and let you guys know what weeks we're having those. 3v3 is going to be open to everyone. Charity stream is just going to be kind of a thing here with us playing.
Yeah, and then it'll just be like a viewer experience at home. Kind of
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
And so we'll be picking a charity, local charity, and honestly, I don't care if we get 1 view or 10 views or 1,000 views. The whole point's going to be to bring some money in for a local charity and a place of need in the community. So
Yeah, and definitely the last charity event that we ended up doing was the one with the Chicago Food Bank.
the Greater Chicagoland Food Depository.
Yeah, food depository, and then we
Yes.
did that one with the Lost Zone Kitchen. And yeah, it was a really great event. There was a lot of money that was raised, a lot of cool stuff that we gave away
Yeah.
for people as well. So it was just a really cool event and a way for us to give back to the greater community, not just like the Pokemon community.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And we raised over $2,000 in that event, which was
Yeah.
incredible. So
Mhm.
I also appreciate the community being so generous. And I mean, that's kind of thing. If we give people an opportunity to be generous and do some good, they're probably
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah, and definitely like shout out to Fly for participating in the event and definitely big contributor to that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Fly, member of the Lost Zone Kitchen. It was awesome having you here. And then Mr. Blanks would love to have you out here for a Challenger Cup. The competitive scene here is pretty darn intense.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Toronto's like next level too. Definitely give us a good run for their money as well.
Dude, Toronto's insane.
Yeah,
Like,
Toronto's awesome.
so many good
I
players
love
there.
Toronto. Toronto's my second home. I really love Toronto there as well.
Dude, shout out
Yeah.
to Anil and Kieran,
Yeah.
members of the Shift Gear podcast. Anil's also just a good dude in general.
Yeah, definitely.
So check them out.
Yeah.
And then Murray, I believe the 3v3 is all going to be standard, not GLC and expanded mixed in, but I know stores have done that in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And it's cool because these events allow us to become creative with the rules too.
Yes.
So it's like one of those things where there's no set rule set. We can kind of be a little flexible with it, and we definitely can put out like a really cool event as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moshi, you're the man. Thank
Yeah.
you. We love you too, bud.
Yeah, we love you.
All right, so I think that's about it for the league. Oh, and we should mention too with the League Invitational, it will be happening in June. So like you said, Brian, when we kind of have that dead time, we're gonna have a trophy. We'll have like food stuff here for people who are playing it, and we'll have it all on stream. This initial one, I don't think we have like pricing outside of the trophy because we're kind of doing this as a dry run. But dude, we've got online pairings today we're figuring out. We've got
Yeah.
an online leaderboard we're putting together. And we'll be sharing this all with you guys once we're ready and we feel it's good and polished. But
Yeah.
like, we're kind of building a system here.
Yeah, it's cool too because it seems like we're adding small quality of life things every week, and we're gonna try to keep adding those up until we have like a very refined league here, and it's something that people can kind of tune into every week and kind of get excited for. So that's what our ultimate goal is for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Dexter, good to have you here.
Cav.
All right. So now that we've talked a little bit about the league, unless there's anything else you want to add, Brian.
No, I think that's everything kind of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I want to talk about, if you're all okay with it, Dragapult.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, we've been trying to figure out how to play this deck for a little bit now to the most optimal way. I feel like the lists have been a little bit more refined now. We kind of have like a
Why did Trevor? Sorry,
yeah.
Brian. Trevor was going to play Chi and Pao,
wow,
and he did not, and I feel betrayed.
Dang.
Oh, and still went 0-2. Oh God. Okay. Sorry, Brian. Keep
Yeah.
going.
I just feel like we kind of have a more like optimized list now, and now we have to kind of learn how to play the list.
And so therein lies the difficulty
Yes.
because this is Andrew Hedrick's list that apparently Justin Templar is the one who put it together. So
Yeah.
credit to Justin. Poison Arch. Ooh, yeah, no,
Ooh.
that's not the move. But so this is the Dragapult list. And as we saw from the game with Michael's deck sucked for the first 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah.
And then he won.
Yes.
Does that remind you of any other deck?
Giratina.
100% yes. 100%. And I think that's something I'm struggling with this deck because I sit down and I play my first 2 turns and I'm like, this deck is horrible. Why does
I know.
anyone
I
play
was playing
it?
this on the ladder, and I think I started Ursaluna like one every like 3 games, and I just wanted to stop playing.
Yes. So for this list, like we mentioned, this is Andrew Hedrick's list, second place from Atlanta. Blood Moon Ursaluna is a big addition. One rare candy only is a big change. The double Dusclops is a bit of a shift. The luxurious cape, multiple Budu. There's a bunch of changes from like what we expected Dragapult to be coming into this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I know like towards last format, a lot of people were playing heavier Duskull counts. I think the double Budu was kind of a thing. There wasn't really much Halucha. People were kind of playing different packages. It was either like Stamp Ursaluna or like Sparkling Crystal,
Yes.
and like Temple of Sinnoh, but Sinnoh's gone now.
True.
Very heavy counter catcher, 2 boss, which is really cool. And since we don't have Lance now, we got to play Jacques.
Yes. So Jacques, a little bit worse than Lance, because
Yeah.
Lance just gets you 3 dragons.
Yeah.
But there's also, and it's not in here, but Brock Scouting is a card that lets you get 2 basic or 1 evolution Pokemon,
Yeah.
which is decent too. But listening to Omnipoke, Shift Gears talking about this, Celios Network, which by the
Yeah.
way, check out all those resources. They're great ones.
Yeah, they can definitely learn a lot from everybody there.
But
Yeah.
they were all talking about the shift from an item-based format to a supporter-based and how it kind of changes things. And I mean, I see this kind of as a progression along those lines.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, look how many supporters you're playing. Like, I mean, like last format, you'd probably just play like 4 Arven, 2 Iono, and like a boss and like a couple like lances.
Right.
But now it's like it seems like your trainer count is like majority starting to become supporters because those are the cards that are really going to be changing the game for you.
And we saw this even more dramatically here compared to Gardevoir because Gardevoir had, I think, 6 or 8 supporters that like drew you things.
Yeah,
We're at 10 here.
yeah, definitely. So there's a lot to really go around with this deck here. Um, and I really like the 3 Dragapults too. I know some lists were kind of playing around with 2 or 3, but I think 3 is kind of the more optimal list. Um, and yeah, I think the Lux Cape is also like a really big inclusion here, just because helps you win the Budu War.
So tell us about the Lux Cape because this is something really interesting. For those watching at home, just Luxurious Cape basically says that if you're attached to a Pokemon without a rule box, it gets 100 health. But if it's knocked out by damage from your opponent's attack, they take an extra prize. And
Yeah.
so, Brian, why is this in here?
Yeah, so I think it's in here for a couple different reasons. It's here for Budu, so you can make it 130 HP. And another thing too is put it on Dracloaks that are on the bench, because a lot of people are playing EXP share going into rotation because that's a way to preserve your energies in play. But a lot of the time, stuff like Screamtail and Wellspring Ogerpon were knocking out those Dracloaks on the bench with the EXP share, so you couldn't really take advantage of getting that extra energy. But the Lux Cape allows you to kind of survive those attacks and, give yourself some more HP to work with.
And it's a huge deal because especially with Terrabox, when that was going around big time, it would snipe your Ben, Streepy, Dracloak. Dragapult itself can play 6 damage counters and knock out a Duskull. But if you have that Luxurious Cape, it obviously helps in the Budu War, like you
Yeah.
said. It can help you withstand a lot of those majorly disruptive attacks other decks try to throw at you.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot of utility with that Lux Cape, and it's able to do kind of a lot as well. I think another thing I noticed too is um, only one nest ball. There's a lot like less dependence on like ball search, because you're really hoping to kind of get all of your Pokemon out on turn 1.
Well, so, and that is a fascinating thing for me too,
Yeah.
because Nest Ball is such a standard in the format. But like you said, only going with one of those for Ultra Ball for additional outs to get those evolution Pokemon. But it kind of makes sense because if you don't see the Nest Ball turn 1, you kind of have the expectation that turn 2, 3, and 4, you're going to be item locked. And it's not going to
Yeah.
help very much.
Yeah, definitely. And you're kind of on that idea that like you're not going to be putting Duskulls down on the board like after the first knockout's been taken, because anytime after that, especially in a mirror match, those Duskulls are pretty much just seen as an extra prize you're giving up.
And they are a major liability. And so, one bit of feedback I had for this list that I wasn't sure about is why 2 over 3 Duskull?
Yeah, and I think it was just to make room. I feel like this list can get a little tight,
Yes.
and just being able to have extra outs to Dusclops and the one Dusk Noir kind of change it. I would really like to have 3 Duskull, but I can't really think of something I'd want to cut.
And I understand that. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So, since we've been talking about Budu, and Bryce, do we have a couple minutes still, or are they getting started? So, I wanted to talk a little bit about Budu specifically. Bryce,
Yeah.
do you mind throwing up the general top cut one? So, Brian, we've talked about Budu.
Yes.
The other one, Bryce. And so we talked about Budu, and I may have just given away the answer here, but this is our top 9 from Atlanta. And as you can see, there's a lot of Pult and Gardevoir. So, Brian,
Yes.
let me ask you, of these 9 decks, ignoring the fact that Bryce just threw it up there, how many of these do you think played at least one Budu?
Yeah, I think it's all the decks that want to play for comeback.
Yes. And
Yeah.
Bryce, now you can throw up that other one. But yes, literally 7 of the top 9 and 7 of the top 8 decks all play Budu and rely on this strategy. And so this is where I'm curious for everyone watching the chat, like on YouTube or Twitch, whatever. Like, how do y'all feel about this? Because it is obviously a drastic shift from where we were before.
Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of like, public outcry here, ban Badoo this, ban Badoo that. And a lot of people are like, oh
Right.
no, this is great for the game, this and that. But it just goes to show how this one little 30 HP free retreat, free attack Pokemon has been really taking over the game.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That this tiny baby thing is a nightmare for so many decks. And Murray, listen, I will defer to whether you want
Yeah.
Twitch, YouTube, whatever your heart desires. As long as y'all listening to us, I am so happy.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know, Brian, do you think this is good?
I
Is
like
it good?
I-
Okay.
I think it is, because a lot of the times people were kind of, the games were going too quickly, stuff was blowing up too fast. Big basics were kind of a thing. I feel like this kind of slows down the game a little bit more and allows for I don't know if like skill expression is the right way to put it, but I feel like the skill expression is kind of seen in the way that you build the deck and tech for the event.
Ooh, Murray, that is a great point. So, y'all, I always talk about getting good feedback, and
Yeah.
I'm getting good feedback. So, Murray's saying that this is a sort of disingenuous way to present it. Like, you
Yeah.
could pick something like Boss, Iono, and have a very similar graphic.
Yeah, definitely.
And to be honest, Murray, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Like, if we
definitely.
say which decks play 4 Iono, which decks play 2 to 3 Countercatcher, it's absolutely all going to look the same. And because I'm in control, I get to decide how this gets marketed. I think the point I'm trying to make here is, though, those are important and good cards, but I think they have less direct impact on how decks in the format is built and constructed.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we kind of saw that in our last game with Michael and Justin, as like that Badu was the reason why like the game was going like nothing was really going on for as long as it did. Round 1, Badu was the reason why there were no knockouts being taken in the first like 5 or 6 turns.
Yes, we had
Yeah.
7 damage counters on a Joltic.
Yeah, so a lot of that has been because of Badu. So yeah, it's definitely been a pretty important card in the meta.
And Mr. Blank saying
Yes.
Badu's a neutralizer, and I like neutralizers. I think the term I've heard is a floodgate. Like, it
Yeah.
slows down and stops things from just picking up speed, snowballing, and kind of running over places.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blanks, you make a great point too of as long as decks don't become dependent on it. And I will say, this is some of my concern with playing that Dragapult. You feel really dependent on it.
Yeah, definitely. Like it feels bad when you don't start it or you don't have a way out to getting Badu. It definitely does feel like a very important card.
It does. And the other part is it can so effectively brick decks, or and this is an issue I've run into a lot, is they always have it.
Yes.
Because if you are Badu locking, but they raw have energy Dragapult in hand, you just lose.
Yeah.
And there's no
definitely.
way to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
So, Murray,
Ooh,
wow, yeah,
that's-
you are on it today.
Yeah, that is also another controversial take too. The turn 1 supporters.
So, what do you think about that one, Brian?
That one's an interesting one too because I didn't play at the time when turn 1 supporters were like a thing. But I definitely heard some crazy combos being had of like like first turn like win kind of things. So it's definitely something that the design team would really have to be careful with what they print because there could definitely be many instances of Petulant Donk.
Brian,
Yes.
let me tell you a story of
Okay.
back in my day,
Back in your
which
day.
was actually not that long ago, but there was a time where turn 1 supporters were fine.
Yeah.
So something like Professor Elm's research or something like that, where it was just you get 3 basics out of the deck.
Mhm.
Great. Totally fine. Turn 1 supporter there, love it. Fantastic. And Fly is getting to exactly the problem, which, Brian, do you know what Welder does?
No, but I do have a full art welder in my binder.
Well, sick. I may have to get that off your hands.
Yeah.
So, Welder is a supporter that said attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. And you may say, Dan, that's not that big of a deal. However, when you have a card that can basically wipe your board for 6 energy, and you go first and
Mhm.
Welder to an attach one, the next turn you Welder attach, you destroy someone's board. Or you hit for 300 and knock out a 3 prize Pokemon your turn 2.
Mhm.
I think if they do want to go back to turn 1 supporters, they're going to have to significantly nerf the power of the supporter that you're playing because
Yeah.
let loose Marshadow is a big deal. Lily drawing to 8 if it's a first turn is a huge deal. Like, there are a lot of things that could be problematic turn 1.
Yeah, definitely.
But so, and Murray just reading, Iono, Unfair Stand plus Badu, strong and fine. Badu getting in the way of setting up boards because he can't play first. Yes and no. And so, Brian, I'm going to ask your thoughts on that first of Badu slowing down player going first.
I feel like it's dependent on the meta because I think right now I feel like we're in a heavy go second meta because of like stuff like Dragapult. But depending on like what decks are like really good in the meta, like sometimes heavy go first meta, this could be really healthy for the game. But heavy go second meta could be a little rough. Yeah.
I don't mind the heavy go second meta because it still slows the game down.
Yeah, definitely.
Because even if you go first and you do nothing, if you have a Pokemon down that you can evolve, you already have a natural advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
So having to go a little slower, I don't really think that's too problematic unless you truly get bricked. And
Yeah.
Justin, as we saw, kind of got bricked, but he still set up a board. If just one of the cards he had drawn had been a metal energy, it's a completely different game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, Budu still like opens up a lot of opportunity, but I definitely want to see how players adapt to with the next like 2 or 3 events, and with the next set going into NAIC to see like how Budu kind of influences how we build decks because it's a relatively new card. It's only been around for a couple months,
Yeah.
so we haven't had too many events yet where we've been able to see it at full power.
And so the thing I'm curious about, and we haven't seen very much, is when do we start seeing incorporation of Squawk? When do we start seeing some more aggressive cards that allow you to play the game turn 1 or 2, even with that Budu lock there?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the kind of archetype. Like, I definitely have been seeing Squawk in a lot of our Chaladon lists, which I really like.
Yes.
I think it's a good inclusion in that deck. But when it comes to stuff like Gholdengo, Dragapult, even like Guardy, like I don't really see like because like you're trying to outweigh like the reward to like what you're giving up, and I feel like having that easy 2 prize liability to give up is a lot to ask for. Yeah,
It's a really good point because it is a giant liability.
yeah.
So Archulalaudon's a very interesting one because obviously, as you can see, it did not make top 9, but there were
Yes.
2 in top 16.
Yeah, the Poison Archaladon was a really cool deck. And I think another one too that people were kind of putting their eyes on was the Zoroark Archaladon,
Yes.
which I think is a really cool deck as well.
So for the Zoroark Bridge.
Yeah.
Zoroark is ends Pokemon, 280 HP, stage 1, has a trade ability, discard, draw 2.
Yeah.
And that just is used in combination with Bridge because Bridge is such a simple, efficient attacker that if you're just able to draw through your deck, you'll be able to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And it helps you to put those energy into the discard anyways. So definitely helps with that.
Agreed. And now we are going to get to our round 3. Thank you for listening to us yap for a while on
Yeah.
this. But we see Grant playing Gholdengo versus Sky playing Joltic,
Yeah.
which is basically the list we saw from Rafal a little earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So very cool to see this deck and see another instance of it being played. So definitely see what we're moving with here.
And we also see it's
Yeah.
Gholdengo Dragapult.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to get down a Gimmighoul or something. And I'm curious if Grant plays Squawk or anything to help accelerate the game. Because if
Yeah.
he doesn't, his hand is also terrible.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's probably playing the same list as Justin.
That would make a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
but this is a cool list, and I feel like for Grant, he's like a very big Chen Pao enjoyer. A lot of
Rafal, take note.
yes,
Thank you, Mr. Nappy.
a lot of the Chen Pao enjoyers have kind of picked up Gholdengo because it's a very similar playstyle to it, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna put all this energy, make something explode, but now you also get a draw supporter in it as well.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And just being able to play the game is so important. And so, did we see a Cypher?
I think there's one in the hand.
Okay, no, there's a
Oh,
boss
that's a
orders
boss.
in the hand. That is less than ideal.
Yeah.
We do just see a pass over to Sky. Oh, excuse
Yeah.
me, a hit for Petty Grudge.
Yeah, Petty Grudge.
And yes, so then we see the draw for Sky. Sky has Arvin, which, I mean, we're going to be able to accelerate with Joltic,
Yeah, definitely.
which is pretty good. I don't know if Pika is the only thing we want to be accelerating to, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. So there's still some utility in there. And I just want to see the way that Sky kind of goes about this. Looks like they're getting rid of the future booster capsule to get the energy for the setup here.
And Brian, I have a weird one. What would you like to see Sky accelerate to?
I feel like you need to try to get Iron Hands in play, right?
Well, so we don't actually have any ball search
there's
in
no
hand.
ball search, so I guess do you accelerate? Are you thinking to accelerate to the Jolt? Oh, to the Faz here.
That is
Yeah.
exactly what I am thinking.
Yeah.
Because with Grant's hand being, as the kids say, ass,
Yeah.
I would love to see something come down on that Pheasantipity to enable Sky to start taking a knockout here.
Yeah, and I mean, being able to put all those energy like on like something like the Fez and put some on the Pika, it allows the Fez to snipe that Dracloak,
Yes,
which
exactly.
is huge.
And so if Grant does evolve up this Gimmighoul, then Pika obviously will be more important. But if Grant didn't, I mean, I would have
Oh.
liked to see 2 energy on each of the Pokemon here.
Or we could not pay attention to what you just said and put all of the energy onto the Pika as well.
If I have learned anything, it's that the people on stream do not listen to Dan.
Yes.
That is basically it.
Yep.
All right.
So going to the Evo here onto the Gholdengo and passing it back to Sky. So Sky is going to be going with a lot of energy here. And I think Sky's hoping to Pokegear into Boss here and try to take a 2-prizer on the Gholdengo.
Do we have Boss in hand already? We
Yeah,
do.
we do have Boss in hand, so we don't even need to use the gear for it.
So then we can go in and take a knockout on this Gimmighoul right off the bat.
Yeah, so now this Gholdengo is going to get knocked out right away. And there's going to be enough energy on there for another attack.
Yes. Well, we are going to be, yeah, you're right. We're going to be 1 attachment short of a knockout.
Yeah.
And we see 2 prizes go down. Gholdengo goes down. We see that Dracloak go into the active.
Yep.
Not a lot of great cards in hand for Grant. So
Yeah.
what does he need to hit here?
I think he's looking for the fire energy at the bare minimum, try to thin out another energy here, and hopefully he's able to attach that fire and then see if he can recon directive into something more playable.
Well, hitting with the Phantom Dive here is actually really good.
Oh, yeah, because the Phantom Dive is going to be able to, I mean, it's going to keep the Pika at 1 HP. It's going to be able to put damage on the Fezzidipity and be able to knock out the Joltic too, which is also really huge.
And Grant has the boss in hand. So if Grant does hit a Dragapult, he's going to be able to win the game next turn unless Sky benches something else. And
Yeah.
we see an
We
Ultra
see the
Ball.
Ultra Ball, and that's huge.
We
Oh man, I feel like you kind of you high roll for it. I feel like you need to kind of have the heavy Pokemon here in the active.
and that's what we're going to go for.
Yeah.
We're going to skip the Buddy Poffin and just say, you know what? Just, we always got it.
Yeah, and that was a really big pickup to get.
Oh, and deciding not to keep the boss. What do you think about that decision?
I think it's okay. I feel like the way that you kind of spread about your damage is fine. Oh, looking to get the Fez here too, and I think Grant is really hoping to draw into a supporter here, like an Iono or something like that,
and that
just
is
so he's got more stability into his board going into the future turns.
And that's exactly where I was going to go. This is definitely going to enable him to have a little more of a stable, calm board rather than going all out like we were talking about
Yeah,
for the Phantom Dive.
Definitely.
And we saw Hedrick get punished for that in Game 3 of the finals where he went
Yeah.
all in. And now, granted, he wasn't wrong to do it, but that like 5% chance to lose happened.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like we did get a supporter. I think it was a Cyber Maniacs though.
Yes, I believe so. And we do have a Nest Ball as well. So
Oh, there's an Arvin. So Arvin could definitely get a get that Ultra Ball as well to get the Phantom Dive going, or could get another Buddy Poffin. Yeah.
and we are going for the Buddy Poffin. And honestly, I completely agree with that
Yeah.
at this point. Oh, and the TM Evo. So at this point, I think you just want to set up your board.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, definitely a good way to go about it.
And so now we do have the Nest Ball as well. Do we think we play it for another Dreepy?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea as well. The only problem with this though that I see is that it's going to be a little bit hard to take out this Pika now because, I mean, it's going to take 2 hits to knock it out unless there's a way to kind of move around that and knock out the Fezzidipity first.
So if Sky does hit into something and put some damage on the board,
Yeah.
Grant will be able to use Monkey Dory to
Yeah.
kind of break that sturdy ability, but that's not a guarantee.
Yeah, it isn't a guarantee. It's also asking for a lot too because you will need an attachment onto the Monkey Dory and a way to find the Monkey Dory in the first place as well.
Yes. And so you will see the fire energy attached, and we'll actually just hit for 70.
Yeah, looks like we're just going for that and just hoping that the Gholdengo will be able to clean up.
And I actually love that decision because the TM Evo doesn't really help you, and it still just enables Sky to be able to reach for another 2-prize knockout very
Yeah,
easily.
definitely.
All right, so we see Nest Ball for Latias. So what does Sky want to do this turn?
I think Sky is hoping to, just to set up the board more. Just because if it doesn't feel great to take a full 300 damage knockout onto this Dracloak here, but being able to set up the board further and try to get extra attackers is definitely a good idea.
So, and I could be wrong on this, I think Sky played that Arven thinking that she had access to Prime Catcher.
Probably thinking so as well. Yeah, and I don't think there was a tool that was grabbed.
There was not.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Oh,
there
we
is
do
a
have
Prime
Prime
Catcher. There
Catcher.
is Prime Catcher still available. But I think the Tandemina is just going to grab the hands, and Sky's going to accelerate straight to the hands.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh, or just not putting the hands in play.
What do you think about that decision?
Yeah. I feel like the hands could be good in play, but at the same time, if all of these gimme ghouls get evolved into Gholdengo, then there's no point in really playing the hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would require 3 Gholdengo and a Dragapult EX, but that's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
And Grant does have access to Countercatcher if he needs to
Yeah.
knock out this Pikachu, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, definitely. So this slow turn definitely did buy Grant some time, and he's going to be able to kind of do a lot from there.
And I think it was the right choice in retrospect.
Yeah.
Sky had a decent hand, and with Pheasantipity down, it was possible she could make something happen. But we'll see.
Yeah.
And I think Grant's just deciding whether or not to Cypher first or Recon Directive.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting thing because when you cipher first, then all of a sudden, like, you have to be picky with what you want.
And that's it
Yeah.
because you only get 1 card.
Yeah.
All right, so now Grant getting the Dreepy, and I think just going to Cypher afterwards. And at this
Yeah.
point, do you TM Evo?
I think you can, yeah, because I think what you want to do. Oh, I think going into. Yeah, I think going into the TM Evo here.
And that makes
Yeah.
sense. And then you can save the Cypher since you are going to evolve anyway.
Yeah.
And now Grant has a fully set up board.
Yeah. Very good play here.
So then going back over to Sky's turn, Brian, what's the move?
Yeah, and I think what Sky's looking to do now is hopefully trying to get a like a gust play here to try to take out maybe the Pheasantipity or something like that. The Mew is going to be able to draw some cards as well. Don't know how many cards that Sky's really working in hand.
So Sky is going to be able to thin down her hand pretty well, down to,
Yeah.
I think, only the Pokegear here.
Yeah.
So then she'll draw 2 and then Pokegear.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think we want the boss. Because if we can
Yeah.
take a knockout with Miraidon, oh boy, are we in a good
Oh
spot.
yeah, definitely. Ooh, but gets the Prime Catcher.
The Iono's not terrible, though, because
Yeah.
it does enable her to draw more cards.
Definitely. I mean, getting 4 cards definitely kind of gets you out of the jam here.
Yes.
So I wonder if we're playing this. Yeah, it looks like we will be going to play it.
But at the same time, you don't love giving Grant access to a full new hand,
Yeah.
even if he is going to draw.
Yeah, Ursaluna's really nice here too.
It is.
But looks like there's not really much you can do here. It doesn't feel great to just take an extra 1 prize here with the Miraidon one. That's just going to get knocked out anyways.
Well, so Grant's hand went from horrible to pretty good.
Yeah, very good hand here. Being able to have like the eSearch Pro, I think there's another Cypher to work with. And the Cypher is good now because there's all these Gholdengos to kind of work with. So you are able to be a little bit, you can definitely get a lot more cards and be a little more choosy with what you grab.
100%. And with that counter catcher, going to be able to gust up basically anything.
Yeah, definitely. And I think grabbing the Pikachu seems pretty decent, but also I think the Fez is also a really solid knockout as well.
I would actually say the Pikachu is probably my preferred option.
Yeah.
Only because Pikachu is the only thing that can knock out Gholdengo.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and so we do see just a few energy left in deck.
Yeah.
So a bunch are discarded or in hand. Do we have another Gholdengo for the active? Yes.
I think there is another one, so you can just cipher for that and just grab it off of coin bonus on the bench.
And so that's a nice part is with this deck is Grant will have 3 coin bonuses, 1 for 2, 2 for 1, Recon Directive from Dracloak, and then Grant Supporter on top of that.
Yeah.
Which, dude, that's a lot.
That's a lot you can really work with too. So I'm wondering if he's gonna just start with the cipher or if he's gonna just wait for it.
So Grant needs 3 energy only in order to take the knockout on this Pika. So if it were me, and Grant's a better player than me, I would probably draw at least once
Yeah.
and then Cypher into the Gholdengo to then draw 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a really big draw out of the or off of the first coin bonus by being able to grab an extra superior energy retrieval.
Yes. And so with this, oh, and what a beautiful lineup of we can get the Dracloak and then the Gholdengo. So now Grant's going to be able to draw 2 with the active Gholdengo and then see additional cards with that Recon Directive.
Yeah.
And another Cypher to chain for next
Yeah.
turn. I mean, Grant's in a great position.
Yeah, I think a lot of great players are really looking to play this deck now.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently this is the sauce here.
Oh, geez. Is our volume okay? Bryce, can you check on our volume?
Yeah, I think we might be a little quiet here.
Okay. Well, you're
Yeah.
not going to hear the players. You're only going to hear us. But I guess,
Yes.
Cups, can you please tell us if you can hear us?
Yeah.
All right, but we do see the 4 energy, which is plenty. That is in the discard. We're going to be able to superior it back.
Yep. And looks like we might get that counter catcher play right after.
No, Fly, please.
Oh, Fly should have said something earlier,
dude,
man.
say something earlier. If you guys are struggling to hear us, just let us know.
Yeah, we've been trying to be a little more cognizant of our volume too, because sometimes the players outside can actually hear us. So we're trying to kind of think about that as well.
Yeah, so those of you who know me know that it is possible I am a loud human being at times, and that is problematic sometimes when people are trying to, well, play their games.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where we got a little excited.
A lot excited. A
A
lot.
lot excited.
All
when
right,
somebody
so
gets something.
Brian, I guess I need to yell at you. We got to have you talk. Beautiful.
Yes.
Mr. Blanks, Amber, thank you all very much.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Appreciate all of you.
All right, so well then I'll just talk louder and get yelled at.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so we do see Crispin in hand for Sky. So Sky is going to be able to set up another one of those Pikas. And if we can find that prime catcher, we could still knock out this Pheasantipity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's going to be probably like victim number 1 here that we want to take out first, because it draws like the most cards out of it. And the flip the script is just such a powerful ability.
It is. So honestly, the ideal scenario here is that Sky gets an attachment down to Pika and is able to do so off of the Mew plus Fez, because with this boss, Pheasantipity will go down.
Yeah, definitely. And being able to kind of set up for like a Crispin play the next turn is also huge here too.
It is. And so we'll be able to restart for 2.
Ooh, there's no attachment.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's not good.
And so missing that attachment is a huge deal because
Yes.
now Sky does not have a follow-up.
Yeah.
Now, is this like a game-losing big deal or just a this kind of sucks?
I don't know. It could be a game losing because now it's like, what's Sky going to do in this next turn?
And it's a great question
Yeah.
because I have no freaking clue. What we're probably going to have to do is go into Joltic to try to reset up this Pikachu, but
yeah.
man, that does not feel good.
And there's a lot of 2 prizers on the board already, so this is just asking for a lot. And if Grant's finding a way to get another Gust, I mean, he can close out the game next turn.
And again, Grant's going to draw 6 cards before he even plays a supporter.
Yeah.
And his deck's already pretty thin, so this is not good for Sky. Now,
Yeah.
if Sky had hit an attachment, completely different story we're talking about.
Definitely.
All right, beautiful. Corey, thank you very much.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So then if you're Grant, is it just as simple as knock out the active?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, because that's the biggest threat on the board right now, and that's the only thing that can do some serious damage. Anyways, I do like this Iono here as well, just because it gets Sky down to 2 cards.
So
Even though the Fez is still available, it's still like important to just limit the resources that can be used.
So question on my end is, why not bench the Hyper Blower there? The Iron Bundle.
The Iron Bundle, I think just because Sky would be able to force up the Pika and put Grant in a position to where he would have to take out that Pika over 2 turns.
That's fair. So it
Yeah.
doesn't really add a ton of value.
Yeah.
And with this Night Stretcher, he will be able to get back Pheasantipity should he
Yeah,
need.
if needed. So there's also, I mean, I feel like this deck has no shortages of draw.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
And with as thin as Grant's deck is now, he's basically going to be able to hit anything he needs.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And we'll just
Yeah.
get the Iron Bundle back if
yeah,
we need.
if needed.
All right, so then we see the knockout here, I assume. We've already played the Iono, so we can't Cypher for next turn.
Yep.
And now Sky needs to desperately figure out a way to respond.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't really think of a way that like works best for Sky to respond to this.
I mean, the response is going to be hoping that Grant doesn't find a Gust.
Yeah, that's true. So 5 there. Take the big knockout onto the Miraidon here.
And we see an energy. But granted,
Yeah.
that was another 3 cards deep, so
Yeah.
not likely we're going to see it.
Ooh,
Wait.
wait. Oh, can the Clefairy close this out? I don't know if the benches are big enough for
The
it.
benches are not big enough right
No,
now.
The benches, like the only way the Clefairy knocks out is with Area 0.
Yes. All right. So now, does Sky have a line here?
I think the Prime Catcher kind of gets a line here just because you can try to maybe put the Gholdengo on the bench with no energy into the active.
But at the same time, while that can help, well, I guess actually, there's already
What
2
is
metal energy
that?
down. Oh, that is the Galvantula.
Oh, Galvantula?
So
does
Galvantula
that
has
do?
100 damage or 100 health. I believe it does 80 damage, and it does 50 or 60 more if your opponent's active Pokemon has an ability,
What?
which is
What set
wild.
did this come out in?
It can reach. Oh, I don't even remember the set. I
Yeah.
think it's Stellar Crown.
Oh, wow.
All right, so I'm gonna have to look up this Galvantula.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a weird card.
It's such a cool inclusion though.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So it is very valuable against anything grass weak.
Yeah.
And we do see the Crispin.
I think the Crispin's coming out just to power up that Galvantula. Is that what it is?
Galvantula.
Galvantula? That's an interesting card.
Okay, here we go. Galvantula, grass type Pokemon, 100 of health. Compound Eyes, attack done by this Pokemon do 50 damage more to your opponent's active that has an ability. Shocking Web, 50. If it has any lightning attached, it does 80 more. So it does 180.
Oh, there's boss. Yeah.
Oh, well, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But it does 180 to something that has an ability. And we just see the boss's orders. Does not matter what it is. We've got plenty for
Yeah.
everything. All right, so Grant, Gholdengo Dragapult takes down Joltic Box. That was not a good showing for Joltic Box.
Yeah. Definitely not a good showing today, period.
No, not at all. So, and on the front end, the early game was great, and just whiffing that attachment onto Pika was so big.
Yeah, and I think it shows why this deck wasn't really considered
Well,
for the event. Or maybe
that's a
there's
fair
or
point.
maybe it just needs a little bit more refinement before we can kind of bring it to like the big event, you know?
So that's such a tricky thing, and I think that
Yeah.
is also a side effect of Badoo is decks have to be more efficient and optimal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just going to get bricked into oblivion.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of like goes to show that like a lot of the times people played certain decks like Miraidon and stuff like that because it ran over decks really fast and just
Yeah.
outpaced you. But if you run out of gas at the end, then you're kind of in a sticky situation.
100%.
Yeah.
And especially now that decks are more oriented to like a comeback follow up, like if you're not ready to go, you're going to get crushed. And
Yeah.
the worst part is, because we were talking about best of 3 50-minute timing, you're going to get crushed at the end of game 1, 35 minutes into the round.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then how do you win 2 games in 15 minutes?
Yeah, it gets a little rough from there. Yeah. And I mean it's been great in the past. I mean Miraidon's a very well developed archetype,
It is.
but I don't know, maybe it's one of those decks that maybe we gotta put it to rest.
And maybe
Yeah.
it needs a little more cooking. Like
yeah,
you said,
or maybe it needs a little bit more support, you know. There could also be like another thing too. I know like some of the team was talking about Magneton.
yeah.
That could be also potential inclusion in that deck. And I mean, I think there's just a lot of it that's just kind of unexplored. You know, it's just day one of having it, or at least like considering it. So there's definitely some more like cooking that we can definitely do with it.
For sure.
But yeah, it's not looking too good right now.
It is not. So it's 2
Yeah.
rough games. But again, I do want to mention on that game, Sky popped off.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She was doing great. And if she
Definitely.
had gotten a single attachment down on that Pika, it's a different story. But she saw 6 cards, didn't see an out to do it, and just not the way you wanted to go.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of asking for too much. So
Yes.
a lot for Sky to kind of accomplish there. But I mean, she played to her outs.
She
so
did.
yeah, can't be too mad at that.
No, I don't have many complaints.
Yeah.
She probably does, to be
Yeah,
honest, but
probably.
that's
But
all right.
yeah.
All right, so then before we get into our next round, the one other deck I wanted to talk about is actually also Dragapult. And so we've seen Dragapult with Dusknoir.
Yep.
We've seen Dragapult Gholdengo. Arctic, will read this true. So
Yes.
started 5-0, lost to Jose Torres, and then at 5-2 won 3 in a row, and then lost winning in for top 16 on a flip. So I will say, dude, top 64, this is Arctic, Sammy, I'm glad you brought this up. This is something I think we as a Pokemon community, I'm going to soapbox here for a minute,
Yeah,
Brian.
go
Please
ahead.
tell me to shut up. If
No,
you need.
you're good. I think you should start speaking.
All right,
Yeah.
I will speak. I will speak. So I will say, as a community, I think Pokemon can focus a little too elitist on times on what is a good versus a bad finish. And especially when we're in a position to do really, really well, it can feel brutal to only do extremely well. So my personal example is Portland 2024 ID'd into what I thought maybe safer cut. It was not. So I got 10th at Portland, which is demoralizing. But I also got top 16 at a major regional.
Yeah.
Like, great. And Sammy, for you,
Did that lock in your invite?
it did also lock
Yeah.
my invite. So I was okay.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
also, I was very okay with it in the moment.
Yeah.
But also, Arctic, you ended up top 64 out of 2,700 players. And I would love to know in the chat if anyone else thinks that's a horrible result. Because to me, you were in the top, like, 1 to 2% of the entire event.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Brian, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's a great placement. I mean, a lot of people are just trying to get, just want a day 2 period.
Yeah.
Some people just want points period. So being able to get like a big finish like that, top 64 is definitely a good placement. I mean, that's what Raf got over the weekend.
He
And
did.
we've definitely been, congratulating him and really, telling him how hard he worked for it, because he definitely did. And I can definitely know that you did as well with your placement and your prep going into the event as well. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
Sammy, we have you here all the time. We hear you asking questions. You're clearly invested and like trying to do well. So, dude, I would be proud of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So one thing, I'm going to soapbox for another 10 seconds here.
Yeah.
I think we can also get into a habit of thinking that if we succeed, it's only a success if we do better in the future.
Yeah.
So, like, if you top 8 a cup, it's no longer a success unless you win a cup. If you day 2, just day 2ing is no longer a success. You have to top 64, top 32. You make top 8, it's only ever a success if you win an event. And to me, that's a little bit ridiculous. Like, a success is a success is a success, regardless of what its comparisons are to you doing in the past. So I would
Yeah.
say for all of us, focus on what's in the moment. What are you trying to do? What happened in this tournament? And if you're proud of the work and effort and process you put in, then dude, who gives a crap what the final number was? You did what you need to do.
Yeah, I know a lot of players, I mean, myself included in times to kind of like only determine how you did at the event based off of the record.
Yeah.
The numbers that you kind of see there. It's kind of like similar to like looking at like just your placement, but kind of seeing like how you improved, how you thought your prep going into the event was, as kind of higher weight going into like then like looking at like what the numbers on the paper say.
100%. Just for the chat, Loki 911, Pokemon is a fantastic place to get into it right now.
Yeah, especially if you want like a card game to play. It's probably the cheapest to enter into, because a lot of the playable cards are so dirt cheap. So yeah, compared to other card games, I think it's probably the easiest entry that you can do.
Yes, from a cost standpoint,
Yeah,
for sure. From
definitely.
a complexity of play standpoint, I would not recommend starting with Dragapult.
Yes.
But like Archlodon Bridge, honestly, this Joltic deck,
Yeah.
there's Raging Bolt, like there's a ton of very playable decks that are pretty straightforward to play. So definitely recommend.
There's definitely a lot of different decks that like on like both sides of the spectrum of like, easy to get into or like hard to master kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blanks, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I agree. I think any day 2 or any placement is something to be proud of. And
Yeah.
Arctic, exactly.
Yeah.
If you play well, if you prep the best, like, I think it's great. And Loki, 100% skills are absolutely transferable from
yeah.
one card game to the other.
Definitely. A lot of like the sequencing stuff is definitely transferable. And we've actually seen like Pokemon players do well in Magic the Gathering events. So there's definitely definitely some merit in that as well.
Murray, your takes are very aggressive
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
In you're not first, you're last. I can't say I agree with that
Yeah.
mindset. So, Brian, I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And the one last soapboxing I will do is, so I'm a therapist. In case you guys didn't know this, I talk to people about their feelings all day. And surprisingly enough, people feel really crappy about themselves sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of times it's associated with like, I should be this, whatever. Bro, I will tell you all, you have zero control over the outcome. You have absolutely zero control over whether or not you top 16. You do not control the coin flip on Monkey Dory. You do not control what Andrew Hedrick decides to play. You don't control whether or not Henry Chow goes to the tournament, which if he
Yeah.
does, good luck
Good
winning
luck
it.
winning the event.
Right. But what you do control is your process. You control the decisions you're making. You control the preparation you do.
You control the way you react to things.
100%. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Brian.
Mhm.
I react enthusiastically. So, like, that is the part you control. And Sammy, kind of per your point, if you are proud of the process and effort you put in, who gives a crap about the result?
Yeah.
Focus on that. Or if you're like, hey, I picked up the deck the day before and didn't do well, there's probably some improvements you can make in the process.
Yeah, definitely. So there's always there's always ways that we can improve, and sometimes you can be your own harshest critic, and that's kind of like the way that we kind of look at it from there.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Murray, I'm sorry, stubbing your toe caused your day to be a
Yeah.
loss. All right. There's a lot of things
I
there,
don't know if
Murray.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brian, anything else you want to say on this topic?
No, I think we definitely kind of hit the nail on it, and we definitely were able to get our point across about like how we feel about it, and kind of like the way that we kind of look at how we think of progression.
Yeah.
In our own solo play.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I'll tell you guys, for me, the big success last season is I got a day 2 with not Giratina, and I was immensely proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So, Bryce, can you throw up the non-Dusknoir Dragapult list? Dusknoir, whatever. Because I think this is the last thing I wanted to talk about before we get into our next round is Dragapult obviously is incredible. We've seen it with Gholdengo. We've seen it with Dusknoir.
Mhm.
But there was another Dragapult list that actually got multiple top 8 spots.
Yeah.
And
Is this the one that like Tanner played?
yes, it was
Yeah.
Tanner played, Sebastian Lasmet played.
Yeah.
I apologize, dude. I know we've played and I totally messed up your name
Yeah.
there. But it is a pure Dragapult, no Dusk, no Dango,
It's like
no
the
nothing.
slow pult.
Yes,
Yeah.
a slow pult's definitely the way it's being
Yeah.
described. And so, Brian, while we're working on getting that up, like, what are your thoughts about that approach to Dragapult?
Yeah, it's cool because I think you, since you take out that whole Dusknoir line, it gives you
Thank
a
you, Bryce.
little bit more room for other cards. Like the Defiance Band is so cool. Luminous Energy is really cool too. Being able to play Luminous Energy is super cool too. Being able to play Monkey Dory. I mean, this is like a very kind of like teched out way to play Dragapult that allows you to do a lot of other cool stuff. So I like that, plays Crispin. Crispin's a super good card in the deck. Being able to put, 2 energy into play, it could power up Dragapult in one turn. And then still takes advantage of Unfair Stamp, which is probably one of the more powerful ace specs in this current format.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And JJ, I can't even argue this is the cooler Pult because there's way more cool pieces here.
Yeah.
And Sammy, yes, absolutely. I think being in that position is a huge, huge win because not very many people get to be in that spot.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Brian, you mentioned kind of the cool pieces. This doesn't include Dusknoir. Like, do you like this version or the Dusk version better?
I like the Dusknoir still, just because I like the being able to take knockouts that you shouldn't be able to take normally kind of approach to Dragapult. But this one's super cool too. There's a lot of cool things you can really do with this list. I mean, even in our games that we kind of played, I think you were playing this list, and I was playing you were playing Dusknoir also.
I was.
Yeah, but I think you had some of these pieces too, like and being able to play like the Brock Scouting to grab Pheasantipity and Ursaluna. Super cool line.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's 2 basics. They don't have to be Dreepies.
Yeah,
you
they
can
don't have
grab
to.
anything.
You can grab anything. Yeah, so being able to grab those really big basics there is really cool too. So there's a lot of like outplay potential that you can do with this deck, and yeah, there's a lot of really really interesting and intricate lines that you can take that you can only do with this version.
And so I think that's the thing that is a differentiator here for me, or the 2 pieces you talked about. Or one of the 2 pieces is Monkey Dory.
Mhm.
I think Monkey Dory is immensely helpful because it can help you fix math, and it can also undo what your opponent is trying to set up as their win condition,
Yeah.
which is a huge deal.
Definitely.
The other part is Crispin.
Yeah,
And
Crispin.
If
Crispin's
you
a good
notice,
card.
it is, because if you notice in the other one, there is no energy acceleration.
Yeah, there isn't. Yeah, there's no like There's no crystal, there's no anything else that really puts energy into play. But Crispin, it doesn't only be used to like power up Dragapult. You can use it to like put an energy onto Dragapult, and you can use the other one to put it on Monkey Dory. So there's a lot of cool things you can really do with this supporter, and playing it at 2 is really good too.
I agree, because I think without any true dedicated supporter search, you kind of need a bit of a higher count in order to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing I would note too is you can crisp into Ursaluna.
Yeah, you can crisp into Ursaluna too. Get that thing powered up a little bit earlier as well. And Ursaluna is just such a good late game attacker because it sometimes is a big ask to get a fully powered up Dragapult into play
Yes.
towards the end of the game. And sometimes Ursaluna is kind of like all you need just to finish the game off.
Well, especially when you need to take 2 prizes and there's no 2 prizer on board, or there's only one prizer on
Yeah.
board, it's so hard to clean up the game with Dragapult. So being able to go in and knock out an opposing Fez, or with Monkey Dory, an opposing Ursaluna,
Yeah.
like it's just such a good out to have. And you notice both this and Hedrick's list play it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Ursaluna is really good, except when you start it, which just happens to happen to me all the time.
Yes.
I always start Ursaluna.
Murray, Ursaluna is such a good card. That is the first take you've had. I totally agree with you today. Kidding. But agreed. It's so powerful, and that's why people are including it in so many decks.
Yeah, it's a really good card. Just like super like, good. Yeah.
Sorry, Murray. It was
wow.
too easy. I'm glad you're here with
Yeah.
us, man. But please keep going,
Yeah,
Brian.
it's just like a really I think it's a very fair balanced card. I mean, like you have like a high retreat cost, but you have that like decreasing energy like requirement for an attack. 240 is a solid number. It definitely knocks out a lot of stuff, but it's also like not super oppressive to where it's like knocking out everything in the format.
So it's also a really, really good number in combination with the damage counter placement of Phantom Dive.
Yes.
Because if you play 6 and then you move a couple with Monkey Dory, you can clean up a Dragapult EX with that Ursaluna.
Yeah, definitely.
And that to me is wild, because that is one of the biggest things you rely on for Dragapult is tanking with your EX. Obviously, Clefairy undoes that a little bit,
Yeah.
but if you're able to get over that with just like a supplemental attack and then Ursaluna, like you can swing the game immensely.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that like, all the energy requirements are colorless and that you can get to a point where it attacks for free.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is huge. And now you can take advantage of that a little bit more in the Dusknoir version, because you can force it into a free attack
Yeah.
with Duskull. But the other combination and the other piece here that this list has that the Dusknoir one does not is Professor Turo.
Yeah, definitely.
And Turo's a big deal.
Yeah, Turo's definitely a big deal because there's going to be a lot of instances where people are going to try to like stall stuff in the active, but now you're going to be able to just take it out of play. Like, people are going to try to put their Ursaluna in the active. People are going to try to take the Halucha into the active, this and that, but now you have like ways out of it.
Well, and in combination with Crispin, it makes it a lot easier for this deck to tank,
Yeah.
because you can Crispin, get an head on an energy attachment, and so that way when you Turo, it doesn't cost you an attack that turn. You can
Yeah.
still sustain Phantom Dives.
Definitely.
So the downside is, and this is why I want to talk about these in comparison,
Yeah.
the upside is Turo, you can tank, they can't 2-shot you as easily.
Yeah.
The downside is they can still 1-shot you with Dusknoir,
Yes, they still can.
and
Yeah.
you can't do anything about that.
Yep, definitely. But I mean, I still like Dusknoir. I feel like there's a lot of things you can kind of do with it, but I feel like this is definitely an archetype you definitely have to respect.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's something you have to account for. So in the mirror, honestly, this one may be a little more favored just because you can stream Dragapults a little more easily.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think into stuff like Gardevoir and the like, I think the Dusknoir version is going to have a big advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when like Clefairy is just like blowing up Dragapults like left and right. So
Yes.
yeah.
You got to have a way to respond quickly or set up a checkmate, and it's a lot harder to do that with a list like this.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, so then Brian, if we were Bryce, are we setting up for a round or not yet? All
Okay.
right, we are slow gaming out here.
Yes.
So I always come prepared, Brian.
Yes, I
If
know you
we're
do.
done talking about Dragapult, there is one more deck I wanted to have us talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Bryce, do you have that one?
Oh,
Yeah.
you're saying that one.
Eevees.
Yes.
Eevees. And there are so many cards in this list that it looks way squished from Limitless. but I give you our Evolution deck. And, baby, I love me some Flareon and Sylveon.
Yeah, it's a cool deck. I think it was really cool, and I think it definitely performed. Like I think the people who took the deck to the event definitely did perform well with it, and it had some really cool stuff that took people by surprise.
Agreed. And
Yeah.
Joe from OmniPoke said this, and I agree with it. This is
Yeah.
a very underplayed archetype for how
Yeah.
good it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like people were just a little afraid of like how good it actually could be,
Yes.
but being able to play just like if you really wanted to, you could play 5 EVs.
You can. I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
And so there can be a conversation about that. The Leafeon does help you get through Cornerstone, but you
Yeah.
can already do that. The Jolteon does a huge damage hit if you discard energy from your bench, but you have limited acceleration.
Yeah.
And then the Umbreon can delete something, but it requires you to discard all your energy.
I think the Umbreon's just there just because it's expensive.
Well, that's
Yeah.
also
It's
fair.
just a flex on your
yes.
opponent.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But this deck honestly is really cool because with Flareon, you get to accelerate energy.
Yep.
You can attack turn 1 going second with Flareon because of the EV evolution ability.
Yeah, the EVEX is able to just go straight into the Flareon. Yeah.
Yes, Connor and Stratford playing the 60 card mirror that's wild,
Yeah,
man.
that is wild.
Arctic or Sammy, I'm going to Seville. So not this weekend, but next weekend I will be playing high tier Pokemon, allegedly. And so, Brian, this is a cool freaking list, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's another one that takes advantage of like Area Zero and the Noctowl engine and being able to like grab 2 trainers. So
Yes.
it's definitely like a thing that is able to you're just able to do a lot of really cool stuff with it.
Well, that's the other thing I like about this format is we have the Dragapult engine, which
Yep.
is Dracloaks letting you draw through your deck.
Yep.
And then we also have the Noctowl engine, which is just go get the thing you want.
Yeah, definitely. It's like get what you need and for the turn. And I think a thing that a lot of people haven't really been talking about as much is the Sylveon. You know, the Angelite attack, being able to just shuffle 2 things into the deck. It's super good because like you can just put 2 Dracloaks into the deck.
It's disgusting.
It really is.
It
Yeah.
is. And with Clefairy, your Sylveon one-shots Dragapult EX,
Yeah.
which is also disgusting. And Sammy,
Yeah.
hit me up, my guy. I will gladly take a good deck to play. I am acquiring pieces for Hop because I make poor life decisions. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So Brian, anything else with this deck you think is good to talk about?
I mean, I like the Terapagos. The Clefairy is good too because it really helps with the Dragapult matchup. I think it just, Clefairy has such good synergy with Crispin.
It does.
Anything that has like a 2 energy attack just has such good Crispin synergy. So it definitely allows it to dominate a lot of decks too.
100%. And
Yeah.
this is one of the decks that takes huge advantage of Area Zero Underdepths.
Yep.
It is also a deck that takes big advantage of Briar. And
Yeah.
Briar is such a powerful card if you can pull it off in the right time.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't feel as punishing to take just like a 1 prize knockout anymore because Briar can kind of get you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you take a 1 prize knockout, you take a 2 prize knockout on something, and then you use Noctowl to search out that Briar because you can just go into your deck and get it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the big advantages I think a deck like this has over something like Dragapult or Gardevoir,
Mm-hmm.
is you look at the supporters here, there aren't a lot of draw supporters. It's
Yeah.
all based on setup and then like tutor or search out of the deck.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
So I think, Bryce, are we about ready?
I think we're getting started in
Perfect.
just a minute.
Then I'm going to say something because I completely forgot to do this. Hey guys, if you like the stream, please like it. Follow it.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter.
Yes, follow us on Twitter or X, whatever we call it.
Yeah,
Follow us on Twitch because apparently that's the thing you do here.
yeah.
Like, subscribe on YouTube because that's a thing there. Like, obviously, we would love to just have you guys joining. And also, if you like this, if the stream is cool, if you enjoy listening to us yap, tell other people about it.
Yeah, let other people know about what we're doing. If they're, yeah,
Murray, I totally understand you
Yeah.
just unfollowing everything.
Murray's got some jokes today, man.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Sorry, Brian, keep going.
No, it's just like if you know people around, you can just that are like local like to the area, they can come to the store too. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Would love to have them out. All right. And so, though, going into this round, we have Kevin, who
Is Kev playing the chicken deck?
I think Kevin is playing. No, we
No,
are
he's playing
also.
Joltic.
We're still playing Joltic.
Oh,
All right.
playing Joltic.
So we are trying to get you guys some Joltic gaming today,
Yeah.
and also into Dragapult. So Kyle starting us off, getting a Dreepy down. That's about it, boss.
Yeah, it's not really much he's doing getting done here. Let's see what Kev is able to start us off with. Arvin's pretty good.
Honestly, Kevin has a pretty good hand starting off
Yeah.
because we're going to be relatively easily able to get off that Joltic play,
Yeah.
assuming we didn't prize all of our Miraidons.
Yeah, and then we also have the board too, which is really important as well.
Yes. We have a Miraidon at least. So we're going to be okay.
Yes.
All right, so we saw what Rafal did going into Gholdengo. What is Kevin's perfect setup now going into this Dragapult deck?
I'm hoping that he puts down an Iron Hands.
That is a good hope
Yeah.
for the future.
He's got one in his hand, and I hope it goes into the bench. That's all I can really ask for at this point.
We don't ask for a lot here, guys.
Yeah.
We don't ask for a lot.
Yeah, so getting
No.
the nest ball and the rescue board here.
And I agree. Iron Hands is going to be your go-to attacker into most of these matchups where it's reliant on evolving basics.
Yeah.
Because, dude, you're going to be able to take a whole lot of prizes really quick, and then Kyle's going to have to come back in a major way.
Yeah, definitely. So, ooh, looks like we're putting down Iron Hands already.
Which makes sense. And actually, I really like thinning it out of the deck, so that way it makes it easier for Kevin to draw into good things next
Yeah,
turn.
definitely. It's not like something he needs to like take out right away.
Right, and having the boss in hand is so good for Kevin. Because now he will be able to gust up the Dracloak that Kyle may go into next turn.
Yeah, and it looks like we're just going to get the Joltic acceleration here. And I think we're just going to be able to get a solid amount of energy onto this Iron Hands here.
The only thing I would have liked to see in addition to that is to play that Ultra Ball
Yeah.
to thin down and get a Mew. So that way
Oh,
Kevin would
okay.
be able to draw.
I was thinking about that too, but I was thinking about potentially getting maybe a knock or a Hoot Hoot.
So I don't actually
Yeah.
think Kevin's playing Hoot Hoot. I think that's just a Rafal inclusion.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
And Sammy, I mean, Dengo or Zork. Zork's an interesting one, but I also think that's one that's underplayed. So maybe it could be the move.
Yeah, definitely.
And Kyle top decking the Buddy Poffin. That is huge for him because it's going to enable him to set up a much stronger board.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's gonna be able. Oh, I think this is Pult Zard.
It is.
Yeah, Pult Zard looks pretty solid too. I think Jackson Ford played it at Atlanta this past weekend.
He did. I think he got
Yeah.
62nd
Something
with
like
it.
that. Yeah, very solid player as well. Definitely been playing really well as of late.
100%.
Yeah.
And so with this being Pult Zard, that could actually, it's both good and bad for Kevin.
Yeah.
So good for Kevin is that Iron leaves one-shots at Charizard EX.
Yes, it definitely does. It's also bad because that Charizard is very strong into those types of decks.
It is.
Like
And
historically, it has been.
it also one-shots that Iron Hands.
Yes, it does. After the first two prizes are taken.
And you can see
I,
Kevin
uh,
nodding along like, yes, yes,
Yep.
yes, yes. All right. So now, if you are Kyle, are we just getting another Buddy Poffin?
I think so. It looks like that's the plan here. Get another one, and then see what the tool is that he could possibly get here.
I'm
Looks like a
curious.
charm.
I'm curious if his deck plays TM Evo.
I think it does. I feel like you kind of have to play TM Evo in this kind of format because I feel like Budu is going to kind of lock you out of a lot of, rare candy stuff.
I think that makes sense. So we do see just the Buddy Poffin and the rescue board. There's no energy in hand, so even if we could get the Evo, wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah.
Sammy, I agree. This is, and it's a good point. Charizard is just not very played at all right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like even like the Brazilian guys, like like William Azevedo and them, they even put down Charizard, and
I
they've
know.
been really trying to make it work for a while. So, yeah.
And so I will say though, from Kyle's end, this is a heck of a board.
Oh yeah, he's definitely cooking here with his start, and being able to get the energy is really huge here as well, because now he can get something started with energy acceleration.
So you say that, I actually would have almost preferred to get the nest ball. Assuming Pheasantipity isn't prized. Because,
Oh yeah, I think it is in the deck. I think I did see it.
Okay, then I almost would have preferred that because you're going to be able to accelerate with Charizard.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we see the rescue board come down, and then we see the Itchy Pollen for 10, but
Yeah. Now my question is, Dan, like now that you know that Kev has the boss in hand, What do you think he knocks out here? Do you think it's the Dracloak, or do you think you take out the Charmander?
I think you have to go for the Dracloak
Okay.
because even if you knock out the Charmander, there's another Charmander down. So
Yeah.
you're not really delaying or impacting his setup at all.
Yeah, I can see that.
The issue though is knocking out the Dracloak is now way less exciting than it was before he saw the Charmander come down. Because now if he amps that Dracloak, Kyle can come right back and one-shot this Iron Hands, and Kevin's only going to have 2 energy at most down on the board.
Yeah. It's funny, my girlfriend just called me out for yawning in the middle of the stream. I'm
Good.
sorry. I'm tired.
What was your girlfriend's name?
Nicole.
Nicole, thank you for being on your game and making sure he is locked in. I cannot do that because I'm not dating him. So thank you for doing that. All right, so going back to Kevin's side of the game, what is happening today? We actually see another Joltic turn, and Brian, how do you feel about that?
I like it because you need to have a backup attacker. You can't just go all in on this Iron Hands and expect it to kind of put in all this work just for it to just get knocked out the next turn, and then all of a sudden you don't have any other attackers that you can go through.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I think this is exactly what we talked about earlier. You can't just turbo anymore if your opponent has a solid board. And boy, oh boy, does Kyle have a solid board.
Yeah, and I think the only way that you can kind of just go turbo here is if you played the heavy baton, which is not an inclusion in this deck, but in earlier versions of Iron Hands based decks, it was.
That's right. So that would allow you to move 3 energy from your
From
active
the
Pokemon
active.
to one of your bench Pokemon.
Yes. Definitely. And it's definitely an interesting card. I thought that would be kind of included in this, but I feel like this also kind of has like a tight list because you definitely want a lot of consistency cards as well.
Agreed. All right, so now from Kyle's end, this is the turn I think he wants to see, which is just set up your board again.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like he's grabbing the charm here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense here.
And so we have Jacques in hand. Do we just get a couple more Dracloak
Yeah,
or
I think
Charmeleon?
you can grab like Dracloak and Charmeleon here, and I think that's like a pretty solid way to end your turn.
I would agree, because I think
Yeah.
item locking is still good.
Yeah, item locking still kind of limits what Kevin's able to do on his board. So I think it's definitely something that is still a good, inclusion and a good play. Because, I mean, we've seen item lock kind of change how games are going. And for a deck that is so, like, turbo, being able to kind of slow it down any way it can definitely put you in a good position.
Agreed. And having both the Charmeleon and the Dracloak are huge here, because now Kyle's going to be much more, resilient to any disruption on Kevin's end.
Yeah, definitely. So there's definitely Kyle's in a good spot, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
he's definitely good.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it, Sammy. Dude, Jackson Ford is a heck of a player.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He also plays really pretty cards too.
This is
Yeah.
unsurprising. All right, so we see the last recon directive. Actually, get the Charizard
Ooh, gets the
EX.
Charizard, yeah. So be fresh into the next turn available. And I think
Yes.
I like what Kev's doing here as well, because you're keeping a lot of grass energy in play just in case the Iron Leaves is needed.
Agreed. And I think that's going to be huge, because Kevin's going to need to respond to this Charizard EX. And we already had the Clefairy to respond to the Dragapult, but like we said, if that Charizard can take 2 knockouts, like, Kyle's going to run away with the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because, like, I mean, Charizard kind of gets to a point where it's just knocking out everything on the board. It just gets way too strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so then for Kevin, do you slap this Lightning Energy on the hands?
I think you can. I also don't hate it on the Pika as well, but I think I like it on the hands more just because I think I want Kev to kind of just start picking apart the small baby Pokemon on the board. Yeah, and kind of going from there.
So the only reason I would say hands versus Pika is hands if you expect to amp twice.
Yeah.
But on Pika, if you need the energy retained for exactly like you were talking
Yeah.
about, the Iron
The
Leaves.
Iron Leaves play, yeah.
And it looks like we are going to go in for our first Amp You Very Much. And now the party's going to get started.
Yeah.
And what do you think Kevin bosses up?
I'm thinking he's going for the Dracloak with the Defiance Band here. I think you kind of have to go for that one because in any other instance, oh, I guess he's going with the Charmeleon here.
I
But
don't. It's a rescue board on the
oh,
Dracloak.
is it a rescue board?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a Defiance Band because I feel like Defiance Band it would just be able to knock out the Iron Hands straight up.
100%.
Yeah,
All right. So then, Kyle's a really good hand, man.
yeah. He has a lot to really work with here. I mean, just having Unfair Stamp is super good too. I mean, when you sequence this, knowing that you have the Charizard in hand and the Arven, do you play that first? Do you try to go through what you can draw first? Or do you play the Unfair Stamp first? Or do you like Arven for candy? What do you think?
So for me, because you want to save what you're Arvening for, I would want to see the Recon Directives first.
Okay.
Because I want to see you find the candy so you can Arven for something else you need.
Or we could just not do that.
Yes, again. I need to just remember whatever I say is not what's
Yeah.
going to happen. Oh God, Brian, we have missed so many,
Yeah, we have.
so many itchy pollens.
Yeah.
I think that was 2 itchy pollens here. And then last game, there actually weren't any.
Yeah.
So we're only at 17 itchy pollens, people. We may not hit that 20.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot more that we probably missed.
I didn't catch any last game before I got all of them
Yeah.
for round 2
Yeah. Well, what was our round 3 again? It was G-Shen and
Sky.
And
So there were
Sky.
no,
there were no
Budoos on the
There's no
board.
Budoo on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're only at 17 so far today. All right. But we do see the rare candy come out, the Charizard come down. And I imagine you see 1 energy go on the Charizard and then a couple on the Dracloaks.
Yeah, I do like spreading them out on the Dracloaks as well, just because now you just need 1 psychic energy in order to power up these Dragapults, and they'll be able to put in a lot of work as well. I mean, these Dragapults are going to be able to kind of knock out that Joltic soon, and it can also spread damage onto the Iron Hands and the Pikachu to make it significantly easier to knock out.
Definitely. And now
Put the house on the under.
Pezzy, never put the house on any bet whatsoever.
Put the house on.
All right, so now we see the Unfair Stamp, and Brian, in a perfect world, Kyle hits Psychic Dragapult.
Yes.
Because if we do that and we knock out this hands and spread damage onto this Pika, who, buddy, are we pokey gaming?
Yeah, there's definitely he's definitely gaming here.
Yes. And so if we are going to Arven for the candy, then I actually do love playing the stamp now before you use your Recon Directives. So that way you can fill that hand on the tail end.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And Sammy, it is very possible Kevin draws Prime Research.
Yeah, Prime Research would be pretty fire.
I saw a lightning Pokemon, which is not
Yeah.
great. Oh, but we see
Ooh.
multiple rare candy and a Dragapult. If we see a Psychic Energy, we are good.
Yeah.
And we don't see a
Ooh,
Psychic
don't see
yet.
one here. See the Arven first.
All right, and then let's see the next Recon Directive. We do get to see 4 more cards, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yet another rare
Another
candy.
I don't think you need that many of them.
You don't.
Yeah.
We'll see 1 more Recon Directive.
Super Rod, Ultra Ball. Ooh.
Ugh.
Don't get there. But, I mean, it's still not all bad because the Charizard is still able to take the knockout onto this Iron Hands, which is still a really big knockout here.
Absolutely. And so this is one of the reasons why I think sequencing is so important is because if you see a rare candy off of your Recon Directives before you Arven, it means that you can Arven for that Psychic Energy. And
Yes.
suddenly you're in a fantastic position.
Definitely. And not all bad here in this position for Kev here, because I think he can Ultra Ball to grab the leaves here.
He can, but what I would like to see first is a Nest Ball for Pheasantipity.
Yeah, I would like that too.
Because now with Fez, you'll be able to fill your hand and then go Ultra Ball and get the Iron Leaves.
Yeah.
So there's a downside to getting the leaves here, though.
Yeah, I mean, it takes your energy out of play here.
Exactly.
You do want to have stuff in play for, you know, like another hands attack or you know, Miraidon attack or something like that. But, yeah, it's definitely tough.
He may just draw the leaves off Fesbury,
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, all these rare candies could lead to another Charizard.
That is very true.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was actually going to be my follow-up question for you, Brian, is if we do hit the leaves here, I'm a little torn personally on whether or not you go with the Dragapult or if you go with the Charizard.
Yeah, because how much does the leaves have? Is it 190 or is it 210?
280, or excuse me, 220.
220. Okay. Yeah, so I mean,
So the Dragapult with
the
the
Dragapult would knock out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so would the Charizard.
Yeah.
But you're basically picking, is it more likely for Kevin to get a Leaves or is
Yeah.
it more likely for Kevin to get a Clefairy?
Yeah.
And that was not the ideal scenario for
Yeah.
Kevin.
I mean,
Ugh.
he still has a way to get the leaves, but I don't think it's all bad though, because I feel like if Kyle ends up going with the Dragapult here, hopefully off the prizes, and if Fez still stays in play, he can find a way into Clefairy and close out the game.
100%.
Oh yeah, there's definitely outs for Kev to kind of play this out, but he kind of just needs to sequence it the right way and kind of have some things go in his favor.
For sure. And we with the Ultra Ball, we definitely do have the knockout. And I think Kevin's just debating, like, what is the right route to take?
Yeah, I think you need to hold on to the Psychic personally,
Agreed.
but at the same time, it's like, oh man, I don't even know what else like he kind of needs here.
Well, so when we see the metal
Yeah.
energy go down, we see the charm.
Ooh, the charm. I guess we're gonna.
Are we Ultra Balling from you?
Ooh, I mean, I don't hate it, but at that same time, if you Ultra Ball for Mew, then you're not gonna be able to.
Oh, this is
Oh.
interesting. Are we going to arm press the Charizard?
Oh, I think you might try to arm press and then see if he can amp.
So
something
arm press
else.
160, amp 280.
It's not gonna knock out.
No, but it does stop Kyle from knocking out the hands. However, if Kyle's a boss, he just knocks out the Fez.
Yeah, I mean he does have a boss in hand.
Correct. So he just
Yeah.
knocks out the Fez.
Yeah,
Also, he's going to be able to evolve up a Dracloak into a Dragapult,
Yeah.
attach a Psychic, hopefully.
yeah, definitely kind of puts Kev behind here.
I know. I'd be curious to hear what his
Yeah.
reasoning is. I guess anyone in the chat who's watching and listening, if y'all have any idea why that was the move, I don't know why it
Yeah.
would or why it was. All right, so we have one more Recon Director from Kyle. And is there anything Kyle wants to do here outside of just boss?
No, I think he kind of like he went through the motions. He was able to kind of get everything. I don't think there's anything else he can kind of evolve or put into play that would be like very significant.
I would like to see him evolve the Dracloak with the Defiance Belt into Dragapult.
Yeah, I can see that too, just because you do have two already.
Yes,
So it's not like too harmful to just take out another one.
and it removes a piece that you would need later to try to
Yeah.
close out the game if this Charizard goes down.
Yeah.
And I think
he's contemplating it right now, I think.
he is debating
Yeah.
whether or not to play it down. Obviously, you don't want to attack with it.
Yeah.
But then, I guess, Brian, we just knock out the Fez, right?
Yeah, I think Fez is definitely the target here, just because you can see that Kev doesn't really have many cards to work with. So just being able to just take it out right away is huge here.
And Kyle deciding not to thin anything else out of his hand, which, to be honest, I think is correct. Those
Yeah.
are all good cards you want to keep.
Yeah, definitely.
And we see the knockout. Kyle goes down to 2 cards remaining. There is a Psychic Energy from the prizes.
Yeah. And, I think Kev is just hoping to just go Pikachu knockout here.
Oh.
So, kind of like this play here.
And top decks, the Crispin.
Oh, man. If you went like... Honestly, not too mad at that.
Well,
But
we
at the
have...
same time, it's just like one boss away now from losing the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
Yeah.
And so Kevin's right. You do have to keep the metal to attach to the Pika. But kind of playing the long game, I don't mind going into Pika and having to force Kyle to get around it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially because that Defiance Belt's no longer helpful for Kyle. It
Definitely.
won't let him reach on this Miraidon.
Yeah. But the only thing is, though, now it doesn't really feel that great to Iono. I guess it does because, I mean, like, there's the Dragapults in hand
Sure.
that go to the bottom. But at the same time, it's like the recon directives just kind of draw you out of it.
100%. And Murray, I agree. Right now, on board, he doesn't have the grass for it anymore because, well, actually, I thought we had another grass on board. Did we not?
We did last turn because it was on... Oh, actually...
Maybe we did
No, maybe
not,
we
and
did
that was the
not.
issue.
Yeah, because it's what, 2 grass to knock or to use
Yeah,
Iron
it's
Waves?
2 grass, and you can move the energy to it, but man, that's a fair point.
Yeah,
And we didn't see the Crispin, and we didn't have outs to anything else. We just drew a bunch of metals.
yeah,
I mean, Kevin's making the best decision he can.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Murray, I got full faith in you. Come
Yeah.
on by.
Yep.
All right, so then we do have the metal for the Pika. We'll be able to attach. We'll be able to knock out the Charizard, and we're going to draw with Mew.
Yeah.
What does Kevin need to hit?
I mean, a disruption card would be nice. Any sort of draw support. If he gets like research, that would be really nice too. Just something that can kind of set up his last 2 last two like prizes if needed.
So the risk of benching the Mew, though, too, is now there is a target that Kyle would be able to knock out with Dragapult.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I mean, yeah, that's the big thing too.
we
I think
see
that's
the
why. I think
knockout.
that's why Kev didn't play the Mew down right away.
And that makes
Yeah.
sense. So, all right. So, Kyle, Giant Hand currently does not have a knockout with a Dragapult.
Oh, he drew Fez off the top though. Top
That's
deck.
pretty good.
That's a pretty good card.
But we do have a Charizard in hand. We have a Super Rod.
He's got rare candy.
I think if we can find a boss's orders, I think we have a boss in hand.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have game.
I believe so. Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something.
Let's see what we're looking at here.
As long as we have a boss, we don't have a boss yet. We do have an Artisan, which is not a boss. It just kind of looked like it.
Yeah.
Well, there is a boss in deck. Okay, there's only one boss in deck. So we are still in a tricky situation because we
Yeah.
need to find that Gust.
Yeah, need to find the Gust here, and then also need to sequence it properly to know where to put the energy and to make sure that those go back into the deck as well.
Yes, and I think everything related to Super Rod, throwing stuff back in the deck, whatever, we want to do all of that after we draw with Fez and Recon Directive.
Or we could just not pay attention to what you just said.
Gosh darn it.
Yes.
All right, well, we can also Super Rod it into the deck and then pull it out with
Yes.
Charizard.
We can also do
Guys,
that.
Guys, I promise you should listen to what I say at least 80% of the time. Brian, I am right here,
I
right?
think so because I mean you already have the deck thinned out as it is.
Right.
We don't need to put more things in there. I mean, granted, all we are putting back are 2 energies, but still, like,
Right. We can do all of that after the fact.
yeah, it's like you still have all the pieces to do so. It's not like you're just disrupting the hand now or anything like that.
Which is good because it would be weird if people didn't ignore me at least once during the
Yes,
night,
I
right?
know, right?
All right, so we do see Kyle get the Charizard down. So if we find the Gust, that is game. We have
Yes.
everything we need. If we do not, it's not quite game.
Yeah,
And Kevin will have a chance.
yeah, he'll have a chance. I mean, like Mew plus like gear can definitely get you some stuff to work around. But let's see what he can kind of draw into here. Dragapult and Evo isn't going to get you there.
No, not the most helpful. We do have one more Recon Directive.
Yep, and then we do have Fez still.
Yes, we're going to see 5 more cards.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this deck has got to be thinned out now, right?
A good bit at least.
A good amount of it.
All right, so next Recon Directive, we see Vessel and we see Charm.
Charm's not bad.
So
Not really super helpful here, though.
it isn't, and to be honest, I don't think we want to play the Vessel because we're about to put 2 cards we don't want at the bottom of the deck. So
Yeah.
even if we take 2 energy out of the deck, it's still a wash.
It's still manipulating the deck too when it's already in like a state where it's like a fixed state. You know?
Yes.
So we don't want to manipulate it anymore because it's just going to lower our chances of drawing into what we want.
And so that's something for everyone watching to keep in mind. When you are trying to sequence and burn through your deck, you need to keep in mind what order it's in.
Yep.
All right, and we see Fez. Do we see the
So-
boss?
oh,
We
there's
do
no
not.
boss. Oh no,
Man. So we had basically everything except the boss.
Yeah.
And so it looks like Kyle's deciding to go into the Dragapult here.
Yeah.
Do we Iono?
I don't know. I think he's trying to visibly see like the amount because like I mean Kev's got 3 cards right now. Put him down to 2. Don't really know how much it would actually help him.
But Kyle does know that Kevin has Mew in hand.
He does, and I guess that's why he's going with the Iono here.
Which I think is the right choice because
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
2 Kevin gets off the top here, there's no guarantee he's going to be able to draw.
Yeah.
And I also think it's going to be really important for
Oh,
Kyle
Prime
to.
Control.
Oh
Oh
my
Kev-
goodness.
Kev's him. Kev's him.
Ah,
Kev is insane.
oh my
Oh my god.
goodness. Does. You know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got
Yeah,
it.
Sometimes.
He is just him.
Sometimes you just draw the exact 2 cards you need.
That's insane. My goodness. And so I would actually love to see Kyle go in with the Dragapult here
Yes.
rather than the Charizard. But Charizard's fine too. Actually, no,
Yeah.
Charizard is the right choice because it's going to be very, very hard to get a Leaves.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get a Clefairy. And then Kevin is just going to win the game.
Yep, definitely.
That's wild. Draw for turn. It is
It's
a
boss
boss.
too. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
So we see the Earthen Vessel for an energy. Attach the energy. Prime catcher up.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
Kevin, insane stack.
That
Wow.
is wow.
Kev.
Unbelievable.
Kev.
Joltic takes its first win
Wow.
for the day.
First, only win of the night, unfortunately.
Only win of the night. Rafal is here to be sad. Rafal, what was your end record?
3-1.
3-1.
Okay,
Oh, you won
okay.
X1. Okay.
It's like fine. The deck's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
that- it's not that great.
The specific feedback is that the deck is fine and not that great.
Yeah, but you got some league points out of it.
I did get. I'm gonna. Well,
He's gonna be on.
I'm
You're on
gonna
the
be on
board
the
already?
board?
on the big board. I won't
Yeah.
be on the good player board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making my way up, though.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. All right. Well, Brian, we've seen a bunch of cool things. We talked about
Yeah.
a bunch of cool decks. Budu is horrible and a problem. We should burn it to the ground. Any other thoughts you have on the format
No.
stuff we saw today?
I think we had a very productive night. We were able to get some good games in. We had the soapbox time. We talked
Yes.
about some deck lists. We definitely had a very eventful night tonight.
It was, yeah, I
yeah,
would say so. It was a
yeah.
very productive stream.
Yeah, definitely.
So on my end, I will say Dragapult's good, and Dragapult's
Dragapult-
good in basically anything you put with
Dragapult,
it.
yeah, Dragapult's a good deck. Try Gardevoir out.
Yes, we didn't actually
Yeah.
see any Guardy today.
Yeah,
But the other thing I would say is I think this Joltic deck has the right way to answer the format, and it can be super aggressive in a way that does not fold to Budu. So that's going to be my lesson is Budu is incredibly good. If you're going to beat it, you have to do it in a way where you can sustain your attacks.
yes, definitely. I think that's the big thing. Is just like not going too turbo.
Yes.
And being able to have pieces to work with later in the game.
Absolutely. Generator bad, Joltic good in
Yes.
conclusion.
Yeah.
So thank you all very much for joining us today. Really
Yes.
appreciate being here. Murray, thank you very much for letting me call you out here
Yeah.
and there. Much appreciated. But Sammy, everyone else, appreciate you guys being here. Like we said, we are continuing this league series through the end of May. And then May 26th, 9th is going to be the last day of the league series and a chance to qualify. Joltic with Magneton could be a really good inclusion, Mr. Blanks. Yes. So, Murray, I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming out. Brian, anything else you want to say before we go?
No, I just want to say appreciate everybody for coming out and watching. I mean, we had a great turnout today as well.
Murray, I will follow you after this. Don't worry.
For sure. But I'm just glad that everybody's coming out to watch. You know, we're trying to do something consistent here every week. So you want people to kind of come back and watch and have something that everybody can look forward to and enjoy. So we're glad that people are continuing to come and watch us and listen to us talk about this game. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we
Yeah.
appreciate y'all being here. We wouldn't be able to do this if y'all weren't here. So thank you very much. We'll keep you guys updated on the league series. We'll have the leaderboard out hopefully tomorrow. And then, yeah, we will see you all next week here at Nerd Rage Gaming.